It's time to get up and get your day started. It's Sports 56 mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Now, here are your hosts, Greg and Eli.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome in to another edition of Sports 56 Mornings. Unfortunately, a wet and rainy Tuesday after a great day yesterday over at Dinstall's as we broadcasted our show live from their Pleasant View location. Had a great time. We welcome you into this Tuesday, February 11th, 2025 edition of the program back in the Family Leisure Studios. Greg Gaston, Eli Savoy, and Elijah Seegers with you. Family Leisures, where family and fun come together. Their preseason pool and patio sale is going on right now. Yeah, it's cold outside, but before too long, spring will be sprung. It'll be pool season during the spring, the summer, the early fall, and you want to make sure you're ready for it. 2024 pricing on all above pools and patio furniture here in 2025. Play gyms, trampolines, outdoor kitchens on sale too. Spas are up to $3,000 off. Check it out at Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40. Good day to check out anything indoors since it's going to be a washout for the most part. It's raining right now. It will rain later this morning. It will rain in the early afternoon. I see some tapering off late this afternoon into the early evening, and then we get more rain tomorrow. Temperature today only reaching about 46 degrees. Right now it's 40 degrees, and it feels like 36 as you get your early Tuesday started. Coming up on the program today, Connor O'Gara will join us at 7:25 as he does every other week. We'll talk to him about all things college football, but I'm sure we'll be talking Super Bowl and some other topics as well. At 8:05 from the Memphis Tigers men's basketball coaching staff, Jermaine Johnson will join us, the Director of Coaching Analytics and the defensive guru for the Memphis Tigers. Tigers will get back into action on Thursday. They'll play at South Florida, and then Sunday at Wichita State. Very important road trip coming up for the Tigers. At 9:25, Drew Hill will join us, the Grizzlies beat writer for the Daily Memphian, getting set to head out west. I believe he'll be covering the Clippers game tomorrow in person, and then the All-Star Weekend. We'll talk to Drew about a number of stories he's written recently about the Grizzlies, and of course the All-Star game coming up. Jaren Jackson Jr. will be involved in that. Jalen Wells and Zach Edey in the Rising Stars games. So a lot of Memphis impact in those games this weekend out in San Francisco. We do have Humdinger's Trivia. That'll come your way at about 8:05, so stay tuned for that. We got some numbers from the Super Bowl as far as the TV viewership is concerned. Some other NBA news, including the Luka Doncic debut for the Lakers last night. The Memphis Tigers move up the polls, both in the writers' poll and the coaches' poll. That came out yesterday. Got some more NFL news to get to as well. It's going to be a very busy Tuesday. You can hit us up on the Sissy's Log Cabin listener lines at 901-360-8255. Good morning.
Good morning.
Did you have your fill of chocolate yesterday?
Yeah, I had enough, I guess. I mean, I could always probably use a little bit more, but I had enough.
Yeah, what's the number? I mean, I guess it's different for everybody, but we got the samples out there. I don't want to be a glutton. I don't need to eat a lot of it, but it's so damn good. I think my count was 2 turtlettes, 1 chocolate covered caramel. I only had 1 piece of cashew crunch, which is so good but so sweet. I think that was it. I think that's all I had. So I had good restraint this year. I think in years past, I'd probably go up to like 8, 9 pieces of candy.
Key is not to count.
Well, you got to count calories.
You can't feel guilty if you don't count.
But I did go to the gym yesterday afternoon, so I felt good about that. Elijah, you missed out on the candy yesterday, unfortunately. How you doing, man?
I'm good, yeah. It sucks that I missed out on the candy, but if I was there, I would have probably turned into Augustus Gloop, so it's probably best that I missed out.
They do have a chocolate river back there in the factory. I don't know if people know that, but there is a chocolate river back there at Dinstall's on Pleasant View. So hopefully folks who had a chance to come out had a good time, took advantage of that Sports 56 discount. All right, the numbers are in, and as I predicted, I said it's going to be a record. And it was a record for viewership, total viewership of Super Bowl 59, 126 million. And it peaked in the second quarter at 135 million. I think it peaked in the first quarter after the game was pretty much over. But 126 million on average watching Super Bowl 59. It just gets bigger and bigger and bigger as far as the audience is concerned.
Yeah, again, I mean, the the Super Bowl is the event. They also, there was going to be an increase this year anyway because Nielsen is counting differently as far as out-of-home viewing goes. So there was going to naturally be an increase this year because they're counting more of that. But yeah, I mean, it's no secret. The Super Bowl is a pretty darn big deal.
Well, I had no idea that Nielsen was doing that. I just predicted a record-breaking number, and it was. So how do they do that when they are trying to account for, let's say, a bar that has the game on?
You'd have to ask the folks at Nielsen. I just know that this year they did it for all markets. They used to do it for just the top, I think, 60 or something is what I read. This year they did the out-of-home viewing for all markets other than Hawaii and Alaska.
And this is just U.S. viewership, correct? This is not worldwide. I know it's not the World Cup. There's a lot of people around the world that couldn't care less about the Super Bowl and care about professional football, American football. But this is just the States, right?
I am not sure because this includes streaming numbers, so I don't know what I have no idea for sure on that.
Well, either way, just think about that for a second. Take that in. 126 million people with a peak at 135 million. The NHL right now is it ESPN or TNT? Who's got the NHL? Who's got the big package? Is it still ESPN?
You're asking me? I'm never tuning in to watch the NHL, so I don't know. I have no idea.
They're not even hitting 1 million for viewership. Now, I know a regular season game, it may be a little different in the playoffs, but were they going to get to 1.5 million in the playoffs? 126 million on average of a blowout game in the Super Bowl. So, anyway, good for the behemoth. And they're going worldwide once again. They'll have a game in Dublin. Last year they were in Brazil. They are really stretching out their product to try to make it a worldwide product.
Going to Australia in a couple years.
Wow.
I think that's 2 years.
How's that going to work with teams?
They will travel to Australia and play a football game.
No, will they play? When will they play? That next weekend? I mean, they're basically, a day in front of us, ahead of us in Australia? You talk about your biological clock getting screwed up. I wonder how that is going to work. Last night in the NBA, Luka made his debut for the Los Angeles Lakers. That dude was nervous. There was no question that guy had nerves. It didn't really matter. The Lakers set this up perfectly to have Luka make his debut with LeBron against the Jazz. And the Lakers crushed the Jazz 132 to 113. Luka, 24 minutes, didn't shoot the ball well, 1 of 7 from 3, still had 14 points. What do you have, 7 rebounds and 8 assists? Is that correct? In 24 minutes, did not play the fourth quarter?
Luka had 5 rebounds, 4 assists.
Oh, 5, sorry. I don't know who I was looking at. 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 24 minutes. They didn't really need LeBron and Luka in the fourth quarter in an easy win. Earlier in the day, Luka had sent out a message via social media about the folks affected by the LA wildfires and then quickly donates $500,000. That's how you get into the good graces of the folks out there in Los Angeles. And again, we'll see what happens in the long run. Luka will settle down with his nerves. They don't have Mark Williams. There is talk that probably they'll sign Alex Len, who was involved in that trade from the Kings and then was released subsequently. And it looked like he was going to sign with the Pacers. But that didn't happen, and the word is that it'll probably end up in L.A. Whatever it is, L.A.'s got a little deficiency in the front court, if not a big deficiency, but they have some scores between LeBron, Luka, and Austin Reeves. So I don't know what you take out of last night, but they do get the win 132-113.
Yeah, meanwhile, you've got the strangely with the Hornets now apparently exploring options to dispute the Mark Williams failed physical, which is weird to me because the Lakers really want that trade to be done more than the Hornets do.
Exactly.
The Lakers really want Mark Williams. They need a center. So I don't. It's bizarre that it's the Hornets who are like now going to try and fight this thing and say, I mean, yeah, I don't think the Lakers are just making up stuff they found in the physical to cancel this trade because they suddenly decided they didn't want Mark Williams. Like so I don't know. I don't even know what the I don't even know how that's decided. Like, if the Lakers doctors say this is what we found, like I don't know. I have no idea how you dispute a failed physical.
Why don't the Lakers pull off a Grizzlies and just sign the guy anyway, even though he's hurt? A la Chandler Parsons. Go ahead and sign him. Who cares? The doctors red flagged it. Sign him. You're exactly right. The Lakers want the guy. They want a big. Dude's 7'2". He's a monster. But their doctors say the foot's messed up. Charlotte can argue all they want. They're not going to win that argument. They'll have their doctors, but then again, you don't know if the doctors are in the bag, man. They're going to say, no, his foot's fine. They play games. No question there's games played. L.A. found something they didn't like. They wanted and needed Mark Williams more than Charlotte needed Dalton Connect. And they feel that they can't do it, so you can't do it.
It's also a little weird that because Charlotte had said they were excited to welcome Mark Williams back. Well, you're not that excited. You're going to the league to fight the fact that you got rid of him, and you still want to get rid of him. So hard to say you're excited about bringing the guy back when you're like, no, hold on. You guys did what? No, wait, hey, the Lakers are doing some stuff here. We want to make sure this deal gets done.
Yeah, that's a little much, and it happens a lot with media relations or public relations departments that are involved in professional franchises. They always do it. We welcome you back. There's been a number of trades that, for whatever reason, don't go through over the years, rescinded or what have you, because of an injury or maybe some other hang-up, and then they always welcome the person back. Nah, they don't want to. They don't want to really welcome him back. They're just going to use the media relations department to pretend like they really want him back. The front office does not want that guy back. They want it connect. They wanted to make a trade. You made a trade for a reason. So, yeah, you're absolutely right. Also last night, Dallas, first game now without Anthony Davis, they lose in overtime to Sacramento, and the protests continue, and some that are certainly crossing the line. But it could get real ugly as far as losses accumulated. Gafford got hurt in that game, correct?
I believe so, yes.
And Washington was already out, and Lively's out. So not good right now, but it has nothing to do with the trade, except that Anthony Davis, who has been pretty healthy the last couple of years, got hurt in the first game, was great and got hurt. And AD has a track history of getting hurt. But the last couple of years, he has not been. That's why you make that trade if you're Dallas, although I think it's still a stupid trade, but in the eyes of the Mavericks front office, was we got to strike right now, and AD may be able to get us over the top, and now you don't have AD.
Yeah, it's not going well in Dallas. You have the fire Nico signs. There was a guy last night on the, I think they call it karaoke cam, who mouthed the fire Nico into the camera. They're ejecting these fans that are bringing the signs and saying this stuff. Nico Harrison apparently did not sit in his normal seats. He was somewhere else. The
Jason Kidd didn't talk after the
new
game.
Majority owner got booed when he went to his seats. You got Mark Cuban yelling at some fans the other day. And then they have DeMar DeRozan double-teamed in the corner and let him step right through the double team and hit the game-winning shot in overtime. Not going well. Things are really not going well right now in Dallas. I don't know when Nico Harrison's going to feel comfortable returning to his regular seats. I don't know how many games they need to win or whatever, but it might be a while before Nico gets out of the suite and into the normal seats.
It may be, hoping things calm down, hoping things settle down. But then Jason Kidd didn't help out either by not doing the post-game press conference. What's up with that?
He probably doesn't want to sit there and answer a bunch of questions about Luka Doncic still. I don't know.
I understand, but it comes with the territory. You're paid handsomely to have to deal with the media when it's good times or when it's bad times. Grizzlies tonight take their 35-17 record into the Valley of the Sun. They'll take on the Phoenix Suns, who are 26-26. 9 o'clock tip on TNT. Grizzlies looking to bounce back after getting demolished by Oklahoma City. The Suns, again, the sum of their parts, not that strong. They got some good individual parts, but the sum of it has not really clicked. You like the chances, I would think, of the Grizzlies bouncing back strong on the road. It would be nice to see, Ja have one of those explosive games. And then tomorrow night, they'll play the Clippers, which, assuming Kawhi plays and the whole gang is out there for the Clippers with Zubats, who's a tough ask for the Grizzlies bigs to handle. Obviously, Harden, that could be a tough one. So I'm thinking you split, you're fine. You just don't want to trip tonight in Phoenix. LA might be a little bit tougher, but you could easily win the two. And then you have the All-Star break. So all is right in the world if that happens. But again, people are still buzzing about what happened on Saturday. I was on radio station, the Soren Petro out of Kansas City yesterday talking about the Grizzlies and Oklahoma City. And we talked about it on the show yesterday that, look, you could spin it any way you want. Oklahoma City's better. But you hope that doesn't mean that they're going to go on some losing streak. And again, they'll have the All-Star break to relax and get ready for the push for the final, whatever it is, 28 games, and then the postseason. But certainly concerning from what happened Saturday. Hopefully tonight they right that wrong and take care of business in Phoenix.
Phoenix is a really bad defensive team. So tonight's a chance to get right and get out, run, do all the things that the Grizzlies want to do. No Bradley Beal for Phoenix. Grizzlies are fully healthy other than Cam Spencer. So hopefully tonight, they take care of business and against a team that doesn't like to guard very much.
Are you suggesting to play the over?
Well, generally you play the over in Grizzlies games anyway, but although they've gotten very, very high with those overs. But I don't know what tonight's is, but I would expect the Grizzlies probably score a lot of points tonight.
Kyrie Irving has been named as a replacement for Anthony Davis for the All-Star game this weekend. So the second injury replacement, Trae Young, replacing Giannis Antetokounmpo, and that didn't sit well with LaMelo Ball of the Charlotte Hornets. And again, Kyrie replaces Anthony Davis. Any issues with that?
No, I mean Kyrie's had a heck of a year. I don't have any problem with that.
College basketball, the polls came out yesterday well after we wrapped up our show, and Memphis did indeed move up once again, and the Tigers are now 14th in the AP poll and 14th in the coaches poll. Auburn number 1 in the AP, despite a loss at home to Florida, 34 first-place votes, but it's no longer unanimous. Alabama number 2 with 23 first-place votes. Those two teams will meet on Saturday in Tuscaloosa. Number 3 is Florida with 3 first-place votes. So the top 3 spots belong to SEC schools. Number 4 is Duke, and Tennessee with 1 first-place vote, number 5. So 4 of the top 5 from the SEC. Houston is number 6. They won last night over Baylor, 76-65. Purdue 7, another SEC team. Texas A&M is 8th. Rick Pitino has St. John's up to number 9. What a story. And number 10 is Iowa State. The Tigers, as I mentioned, 14th. Kentucky is 15th. Kentucky will host Tennessee tonight. Ole Miss is 19th. Missouri is 21st, despite losing to Texas A&M. And Mississippi State in at number 22. They will play host tonight to Florida. So a big game tonight at the Hump in Stark Vegas. But once again, the top 25 is full of SEC schools, but Memphis at number 14 now.
Yeah, again, you keep winning, you keep moving up because teams will lose in front of you, and they will drop them, and you can keep leaping little by little. Auburn and Alabama have never met as 1 and 2 in football, but will do it now in basketball. The SEC's never had a 1 versus 2 basketball matchup until this Saturday, and those two. And I was surprised. This is the first time 1 and 2 will play each other since 2013 in college basketball.
Which was who?
I think Kentucky and Michigan State in the Champions Classic.
What year was Memphis, Tennessee 1 and 2? Was that 08?
Yes.
So tonight, Auburn has to play at Memorial Gym in Nashville against Vanderbilt. We know how good Vandy has been at home. Certainly, if you're Auburn, you don't want to have a 2-game losing streak going into that game against Alabama. And Alabama plays at Texas. Now, the Longhorns have been struggling of late, but it doesn't mean they can't step up tonight. So 1 and 2, hoping to get dubs tonight as they get ready for that game on Saturday. Mentioned Tennessee at Kentucky tonight, Florida at Mississippi State tonight. Last night, it was Clemson over North Carolina, 85-65. The struggles continue for the Tar Heels and Clemson with that win. Again, it helps out Memphis every time Clemson gets a win. And then in the American, there was one game last night, Florida Atlantic over Charlotte at home in Boca, 87-75. Well, I've been talking about Shoot 360 Memphis for a long, long time. If you're listening and you are a basketball player, you're a young basketball player, you can be an older basketball player, it doesn't matter, or you're a parent of somebody who plays basketball in your family. Maybe you have multiple people, multiple kids, multiple grandchildren, a niece, a nephew, and they want to become a better basketball player. So you want to have the coaching, right, the tutelage. You want to have fun while doing so, and that's what they have at Shoot 360 Memphis. They have all the cutting-edge technology, all the analytics. You get that instant feedback so you know what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong, by the numbers, the angles, the height, the width. They just, I don't know who came up with the formula. Actually, some very, very smart people came up with this formula. And while you're doing so, you're having fun because they bring that gamification feel to it as well, especially for younger kids. You're learning how to throw passes, whether it's a bounce pass, whether it's a chest pass, and you're scoring because you're doing this onto a screen and you're hitting targets and you're scoring. So you're having fun while doing so. But these unbelievable bays that they have with the Shoot 360 technology is really where you learn to become a better shooter, the arc and depth and everything that goes into shooting. And again, one-on-one expert coaching, second to none. It's all bundled in to one place at Shoot 360 Memphis. They are in Cordova. And they are in Collierville. You can call them in Cordova at 901-779-3176 or in Collierville at 901-316-5500. Give them a call or stop by the location, take a tour, see what I'm talking about, see what they have to offer, and then you could sign up month to month. Try it for a month. If you don't like it, fine. No big deal. You paid for a month. If not, you go month to month, sign up for a year. Just extend it, whatever you want to do. But I'm telling you, you're going to love it. Shoot 360 Memphis. The basketball training is here at Shoot 360 Memphis. When we come back, Connor O'Gara joins us. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 98.5 FM.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Efficiency planting solution. The Case IH 2150 early riser planter combines the industry's most accurate planter technologies with a run-and-roll unit for fast and uniform emergence. The Case IH 2150 early riser operates at your speed and adapts to unique field conditions so you can maximize your yield potential. Stop in and call Mid-South Ag Equipment at 662-890-3141 to learn more. That's Mid-South Ag, your Case IH equipment headquarters. Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery instead of dependable service and no long-term contracts. An easy choice. Call Jeff Matus today, 901-382-2363 or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
Surprise! Your accountant just emailed to say your quarterly taxes are way higher than you were expecting.
Small business owners don't usually like surprises because they cost you money. But a good surprise that could save you money? Getting discounts with a commercial auto quote from Progressive.
Also, your favorite employee is leaving. They're going to pursue their dream of being a veterinarian.
Surprise yourself. See if you can save in as little as 7 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
They're taking care of beerness in Memphis, right on the river with Grind City Brewing and all of their great products. Look, this was a dream come true for a father and son duo. And if you have not been to that brewery right on the river, just to the north of downtown, you're really missing something special. And now you can't miss their products. Wherever you go, you see a brand new label. It's clean, it's beautiful, it's distinctive. You'll know Grind City Brewing, and of course you know their products like Poppy's Pills, that great Pilsner, or Tiger Tail, that very creative craft malt liquor. There's the new Thaddeus Amber Lager. That is absolutely a great light beer. There's the India Pale called God Hopper. It's outstanding. And then there's the Belga, the Belgian-style wheat ale. They keep bringing hits at Grind City Brewing.
Good morning. Starting to build in the Midtown area a little bit more in the last few minutes on 240 North at Lamar as traffic increases right on schedule for this time of the morning in South Memphis. On 55 there at Brooks, Elvis Presley. Watching it pick up even more on 385 Billmores Parkway coming inbound. Hey, Weimer's Jewelry, 7525 Highway 64 is your Valentine's Day headquarters. Go by and see them in the next few days. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Sports 56 morning on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
The NFL season wrapped up with the Super Bowl. The college football season wrapped up with the national championship. No football right now. We get the UFL that'll be coming up at the end of March. But there's always football news, whether it's portal news, whether it's spring football, whether it's OTAs in the NFL. The draft is rapidly approaching, so we're always talking some pigskin. And every other week, we're talking with Connor O'Gara.
It's time to talk some SEC and college football. Joining Greg and Eli is Connor O'Gara from SaturdayDownSouth.com and SaturdayTradition.com. Here's Connor O'Gara with Greg and Eli.
He is Connor O'Gara. He does join us every other Tuesday. He does so many good things for Saturday Down South. He's their senior national columnist. He's the host of the Saturday Down South podcast. You can follow him on Twitter at CJ O'Gara, and he joins us now on Sports 56 Mornings. How are you?
Gentlemen, doing well. I don't like hearing you say no football for X amount of time. It's reality, and I'm staring it right in the face, but I still don't like to hear that acknowledgement.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but it is the truth. Did you? I assume you watched the Super Bowl. Any take from the Super Bowl?
Jalen Hurts, this story is just one of the best football stories of the last decade. It really is, and it's so overdone now. Nobody believed in me, nobody believed in us. I mean, it was Travis Kelce who was saying after the Chiefs won the first of their attempts in this three-peat, oh, nobody believed in the Chiefs. Everybody kind of sounds like, all right, man, let's chill. But Jalen Hurts just has this arc that I just don't think we've ever seen. And I do think that we are looking at this from the perspective of, all right, well, he's extremely well paid. And, this is a guy that's obviously considered one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. I mean, even go back to September, and there were people wondering if he was going to keep his job. Mm-hmm. And that's somebody that had already been to a Super Bowl. But you just look back at all the different moments in his career, being benched at halftime of a national championship, his 4 years of college in which he watches confetti fall on other people. He watches confetti fall on Pat Mahomes 2 years ago. And for him to have this moment where finally it's his time to win a championship, it's the type of stuff that feels like you're watching a Hollywood script play out. And those are so often cheesy and cliche, but with Jalen Hurts, it just feels real, and you just can't help but root for that guy.
And he got to go to Disney World.
Exactly. Got to come to Orlando, and like I say, February in Florida is the single best weather month of the year in any place that I have ever lived. And if you can come to Disney World in February, you are doing yourself a favor. And I'm not a big theme park guy myself. I am a winter months only type of guy to theme parks. But you get to go to Disney World right after winning a Super Bowl. I mean, life just does not get a whole lot better than that.
Yeah, and to your point, and I have said it all along, I just look at that guy as a winner. I said it well before he won the Super Bowl. He's faced adversity so much. He always bounces back, seems to do it with a stiff upper lip. And whether it be college, and you just talked about that, and what happened at Alabama, and then goes to Oklahoma, what has happened in Philadelphia. He goes up against Pat Mahomes for a second time in 3 years. Actually, his numbers much better both times than Pat Mahomes. Won a loss and then won the dub. He gets vindication. Pat Mahomes is obviously one of the greatest ever, but Jalen Hurts, that guy is a pure winner, and I don't even know the guy. I don't know the guy from Adam. I'm just very happy for him. He just seems like a cool dude.
Just goes about his business the right way. And, go back to the 2018 SEC Championship. That's kind of the forgotten season of Jalen Hurts in a lot of ways because, he wasn't leading Alabama to a national championship berth as a true freshman. He wasn't getting benched at halftime of the national championship. That 2018 season was so pivotal because he really retooled a lot of his game as the backup to Tua. And he worked really well with Mike Loxley and Dan Enos. And it got to the point where 2018 SEC Championship, when Tua comes out, probably loses the Heisman Trophy that day to Kyler Murray. And you see the way that it plays out in the fourth quarter with Jalen leading the comeback in the same exact building where he was benched a year earlier against the same exact team. And Nick Saban is almost moved to tears in the postgame, talking about how he's never been prouder of a player than Jalen Hurts in that moment. And that, to me, I thought that was going to be the peak of his football career. And to think that here we are, a little bit more than 6 years later, and that guy is already celebrating a Super Bowl MVP trophy. He's been to 2 Super Bowls. He's extremely well compensated. He's the face of a franchise. To me, you can't write scripts like this. And that's why sports, to me, always kind of keep you guessing. And just when we have these things, we feel like we have these things figured out. It's just the football gods always kind of throw us for a loop.
So in the world of college football, I'm looking here at the sites, your Saturday Down South site. In the article by you, why Hugh Freeze has the hottest seat of any SEC coach in 2025. So more than Pittman or Napier, you believe it's Hugh Freeze?
Yeah, Napier's got the DJ Lagway factor. It's the same thing that got him an extra year in 2024 when everybody thought he was dead man walking. And it's entirely because of Lagway. And Florida has made it pretty clear they want to see this Lagway experiment through. And he's not even draft eligible at the end of this year. So you have a lot of grace built in if you are Billy Napier. And for a team that won 4 in a row down the stretch, I think that's going to benefit him. And then with Pittman, as much as there's a feeling that I think among Arkansas fans, hey, we appreciate what he did to get us out of the Chad Morris era hole, if you will. But there is a feeling that things have gotten a bit stale. Hunter Yurachek still has unbelievable loyalty to him, and this is a guy that just improved their win total by 3 games this past season. So I don't necessarily look at it as like, okay, his seat is then hotter than Hugh Freeze, who, let's be honest, if Hugh Freeze doesn't improve this team's win total by at least 3 games this year, I think he's out of a job. And you could say, all right, well, what about the $37 million that they committed to Gus Malzahn and Brian Harsin to not work? It's different with Freeze because his buyout is a little bit has a little bit more wiggle room in that you can have it set up with monthly payments. So you can have it set up with monthly payments for the $15 million it would be to fire him, around $15 million this year, and then you can just spread it out over the course of the next 3.5 years. And that to me is extremely beneficial, and it makes that a little bit more financially responsible than some of their past decisions. $21.5 million to Gus with no offset buyout. So to me, I think Hugh Freeze, the fact that Auburn is coming off of 4 consecutive losing seasons, he's 11-14, all the home losses. Yeah, the optics are really bad, and I think he needs to improve, and I think he needs to improve now.
Eli mentioned Pittman. He mentioned Napier. Brent Venables is the guy I look at, and I know he announced that he's going to be calling the defensive plays. I would think that he's going to be a little bit under fire.
Buyout's $36 million.
They can afford it.
They don't pay buyouts there. They pay buyouts for defensive coaches that they fire. You got to remember, too, and that's part of this, because if you're just looking at this on the surface saying, all right, well, Brent Venables has not done the Oklahoma things that many people thought he would do, replacing Lincoln Riley. He's had 2 losing seasons in his first 3 years. What do you mean? How is that guy's seat not hotter? Joe Castiglione announced that extension for Brent Venables a week before Oklahoma was set to join the SEC, and it bumped up that buyout to a place where a lot of people looked at that and went, whoa, that's very different. Do I think that they're all of a sudden going to pay the second biggest buyout in the history of college football and an acknowledgement of, hey, we might have lost this breakup with Lincoln Riley? Do I think that they want to do that? They have no plans of doing that. Now, if you have another losing season in Norman, yes, obviously. I think his days are numbered. He went all in with this offensive coordinator-quarterback combination from Washington State with Ben Arbuckle and John Mateer. But I don't think his seat is quite as hot because of that acknowledgement from Joe Castiglione and the desire that Oklahoma continues to have to want to win the breakup with Lincoln Riley. So those are the optics that are working in his favor.
Well, you're making sense what you're saying, but that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about after next season, another bad year. Is it still 36 after next year? And
yeah.
But even so, that would be 3 out of 4 years? I don't know, man.
He's recruiting at an extremely high level in the areas that Lincoln Riley struggled. And that's part of the reason why Oklahoma fans have continued to defend him and why there is a little bit more grace with what he's doing. Now, again, 6 and 7 changes it, all right? Like, you have 3 losing seasons your first 4 years there. Yes, you're going to be out of a job, but there is a world in which they can go 7 and 5, not necessarily fall off the face of the earth, and all of a sudden, hey, Brent Venables is actually doing just fine in the eyes of Oklahoma. That's what I mean in that I don't think his seat is quite as hot, where you really need to see that 3-win improvement like you do with Hugh Freeze at Auburn.
Fair enough.
Well, maybe Lincoln Riley gets fired and they could just bring Lincoln Riley back.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Now, that bridge.
Switcheroo.
Buddy, if that bridge is not burned, it's holding on by a thread, and it's just ready to collapse because those roads are never opening back up. The vitriol between Oklahoma fans and Lincoln Riley, guys, it is fierce. And I had to learn that when Oklahoma came into the SEC and learned that perspective. But it is real. It's not going away anytime soon. I mean, even if you talk to people with Oklahoma roots like Dari Noka, who I love Dari. Dari is buttoned up and is as rational as a human being as I've come across in this industry. And you get Dari talking about Lincoln Riley as an Oklahoma grad, that gets him fired up in ways that very few things can. I tell you guys, it is something that I don't think we can ever discount what it means to win a breakup when it comes to college football coaches.
Well, I guess speaking of coaches being somewhat reunited, Ryan Grubb rejoining Kalen DeBoer at Alabama. How big do you think that is for DeBoer?
It's monumental. It's monumental because that offense this year was an inconsistent nightmare. And some of that is definitely on the lack of progression for Jalen Milroe. I think there are people that will just pin it all on him. But I do think that with Nick Sheridan as their offensive play caller, there were things that they just couldn't figure out. And Kalen DeBoer is instead spending too much of his time trying to work on this offense, when in reality he needs to be able to be the CEO of that program, a program that's got a lot of different moving pieces in the post-Nick Saban world. And let's just call it what it is. Ryan Grubb and Kalen DeBoer are better together than apart. This is going to be their 6th different stints together on the same sideline. That's not a coincidence. There's a reason why these two guys have risen to these ranks of the college football coaching world, and Ryan Grubb even to the NFL world. But I do think that they are now in position to have a no-excuses offense. There's no reason, even with a new quarterback situation, why they shouldn't have one of the top 10 offenses in all of college football. You're getting the band back together. Do it the way that you did it at Washington. You showed that could work. They got you to a national championship game. I just think that Ryan Grubb adds so much respectability and puts people in the positions where they were meant to be put in when Kalen DeBoer signed on to do this job.
Connor O'Gara joining us on the Sissy's Log Cabin listener lines and Sissy's Log Cabin guest line. Connor, Matt Rule recently announced that they will not have a spring game at Nebraska. He is afraid of tampering that could take place with the spring portal still to come. Is that something that I can't imagine sits well with the Nebraska fans? I'm sure the spring game is huge in Lincoln, but is that something that's going to become a trend if they don't move the portal window?
Yeah, it could. And look, I try and not roll my eyes at everything that comes out of Matt Rule's mouth, because sometimes I'm just like, dude, beat a top 10 team in your career, and then we can actually have a conversation. Mm-hmm. But yeah, to me, he weighs in too much on the big picture issues for a guy that like just needs to establish himself as a guy who can build a program and then stay at that program. But that's a different subject for a different time. I do think that there is some concern with this. And I just question how much the post-spring transfer portal window really matters, and why, or maybe the better way to phrase that is why it's still needed. Because if we just got this to a place with one window, yes, that would be weird because this is still college athletics, and that would be a mid-year type situation, and it wouldn't be as clean. But if you just left that post-spring window open for grad transfers, I think it would take care of that problem, and you wouldn't have tampering in the same sort of way, where all of a sudden guys could turn on Big Ten Network or SEC Network, and all of a sudden they're able to see this guy really pop, this second stringer, and all of a sudden they're like, hey, you would fit in really well with our offense. You could start. If you just took away that window for the undergrad, I do think that there would be kind of a way to work around it, because you already have the 30-day window if your coach gets fired. So it's not like you would have no opportunities if all of a sudden your coach stepped down in February. So I do think that there is at least some merit to it. I don't think we're going to get to a place where all of these spring games are canceled. There are too many revenue opportunities there.
Well, I mean, that's obviously everything always comes down to money. But I guess the counterpoint is, why the hell do we need spring games anyway?
Because they make money. There's your own question, Eli. Like that's.
I'm sure they're doing Lincoln.
We had Lane Kiffin doing like slam dunk contest. It's like
made money, showcased Ole Miss as being the fun, exciting program that could bring in Joey Chestnut, eat 1 million hot dogs, and oh my gosh, look at Ole Miss. It's a marketing opportunity during an 8-month offseason, and there are very few of those that actually get people to want to consume what you're doing. And that is the battle that college football will always be fighting during this 8-month offseason. While there is always news, there is always things happening, are there actually things that make fans go, yes, that's my team and I'm going to support them. I'm going to put my hard-earned dollars forward to be able to support them. That's what they're still trying to be able to continually figure out. And I think spring games are still going to be an opportunity. Maybe not for all, but definitely for some.
All right, final thing for you. The draft is still a couple of months away. But there's a lot of speculation on what Tennessee will do at number 1 and which quarterback will go first, not necessarily overall number 1, but will Sanders go before Ward, Ward before Sanders? Give me who you think, and you don't have to say the team, but tell me the round. Who the first 4 quarterbacks will be selected in order?
4.
Yeah, give me 4. Yeah, because I wanted to stretch it out a little bit, see who you got as that 4th guy.
Yeah, I think I think the order of quarterbacks selected will be Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, Jackson Dart, and then somebody's probably going to take Jalen Milroe way earlier than they should. That's just been the consensus feeling coming out of, this Senior Bowl wherein Milroe struggled. But to me, I would think he's more of a back end day 2, early day 3 type of guy. If anything, just because if you're drafting quarterback round 1, and this is why I would have hesitation about drafting Jackson Dart round 1, you are essentially saying you're going to start multiple games. Like every single first-round quarterback of the 2020s, with the exception of Jordan Love and the injured J.J. McCarthy, those first-round rookie quarterbacks have started multiple games. So I don't think Jackson Dart is at that place where he's quite ready with some of the things that they're going to be asking him to do with the NFL. Mm-hmm. So I think that's probably going to drop him into not round 1, and I don't think he's going to end up going that early. So I do think that Dart and Milroe would be quarterbacks 3 and 4 off the board, but I do not think that they will go off the board night 1.
All right. You're entitled to change as we get closer. I'm sure we'll talk a lot more about that. We'll talk to you in a couple of weeks. He's Connor O'Gara, and he does a terrific job writing and covering football, college football, for Saturday Down South. He's their senior national columnist. He's also the host of the Saturday Down South podcast. It's a great podcast. Check it out. Follow him on Twitter at CJ O'Gara. And again, you can check him out every 2 weeks right here on Sports 56 Mornings. Thank you, Connor.
Gentlemen, appreciate it.
Good stuff, as always, from Connor O'Gara. We'll take a timeout, come back, and wrap up hour number 1. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director of Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
Accomplishing goals is hard, but when your goal is to learn a new language, Babbel makes it easy. Babbel is designed with you in mind. From expert-created lessons to conversational video units and even live classes, you can personalize your Babbel experience to be exactly what you need to really learn a new language more easily. Go ahead, set a goal for yourself. Accomplish it with Babbel. Try Babbel for free. Go to BABBEL.com. That's Babbel.com.
I know it's not spring yet, but it's close, and right now, it's the perfect time to start thinking and planning for your backyard entertainment. Just so happens Family Leisure is thinking that way too, with their preseason pool and patio sale. Get 2024 pricing on all above-ground pools and patio furniture. Also, secure your spot for pool installation. That way, you can go ahead and start making plans. Lots of new inventory is en route, so in-stock patio furniture is up to 70% off. You want a play gym, a trampoline, how about an outdoor kitchen to go along with that new pool? They're all on sale too. You can get spas up to $3,000 off and save even more by mentioning this ad. You do that, you'll get a $250 gift card with a pool, spa, or patio furniture purchase. Winter won't last forever. The spring will be here soon, so get ready with the preseason pool and patio sale at Family Leisure, Whit Road off I-40, where family and fun all come together.
Now back to Sports 56 Mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Welcome back, everyone. 7:48 is the time. Coming up to open up hour 2, we'll have Humdinger's Trivia, and then Jermaine Johnson will join us, the Director of Coaching Analytics for the University of Memphis, the defensive guru for Penny Hardaway's Tigers. Jermaine Johnson at 8:05. All right, so Ryan Williams, the terrific young wide receiver for the Alabama Crimson Tide, has signed an NIL deal with a nail polish brand, and then he's showing off his fingers all painted up. What do you think about that? Nail polish. I
get it?
Yeah? I mean, is there something that where do you say no? What product within reason that is allowed under the NIL do you say no to? I mean, maybe he does. Maybe he uses polish on his fingernails. To each his own, okay? To each his own. It's not my cup of tea.
There's
I'm not going to paint my nails. A lot of guys that paint their nails that are straight.
Yeah, especially like clear nail polish, whatever. Yeah.
No, these aren't clear nail polish. This is not clear. It's like blue or green or. I mean, come on, man. I mean, he wants to do it. That's fine. But nail polish. What else? What do you think? Is there something you would say no to, or is money talk?
There's a price for anything.
Dresses. You going to put on a dress?
If they're paying me
Dresses by Savoy. You would?
If they're paying me enough.
Elijah, what do you think? Money talks no matter what?
As an 18-year-old college student, you could have paid. There was a price for anything.
And if that's the way I want to express myself, then it's win-win.
Wow. Okay. Maybe I'm old school. There's some things. There's some bridges I'm not crossing, man. I'm not putting on a dress. And that's never. I don't think that's going to happen, but you never know. That may happen, but. He's making money. Nail polish company. I mean, who would have ever thought that? He must wear nail polish.
He paints his nails before games.
So he does do this, okay.
He's done. Jared McCain had a deal with the same company.
Why do they do that?
Because they want to.
Just fashion, right? It doesn't do anything to help you. Doesn't make you catch the ball better. Does he let his nails grow as well? That would affect your ability to catch a ball, I would imagine, if you have long nails. I'm sure that doesn't happen. All right. I mean, there's some things that obviously you cannot have NIL deals for. Alcohol, cigarettes, things of that nature, porn sites. But if they allowed that, I guarantee you there'd be a lot of NIL deals because... Now, an alcohol deal, if it was allowed, I would do that. But I would turn down a cigarette deal. I don't smoke. But he uses the polish, so more power to him. I'm just saying that I ain't going there. Not that there's anything wrong with that, as Jerry Seinfeld would say.
Yeah,
Money
I
to be
certainly don't
made.
care. I've worn nail polish before. I don't like it. Whatever. I don't.
You've worn nail polish.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Why?
Just put clear nail polish on. Make your nails look better. I've had manicures before. Whatever. Who cares?
I'm learning something about Savoy. We've been doing this show for 20 years.
It's not 1960 anymore, Greg.
It doesn't matter. It was happening in the 60s. It's just they were not doing it out in public. I'm not saying that makes them homosexual or gay or anything like that, but yeah, I mean, there's got to be a reason why. Fashion. I imagine that he's matching what he's wearing with the color of his nails. But I want to learn a little bit more about Eli Savoy here. Manicures, pedicures, and you just don't seem like that.
I've never had a pedicure,
cat.
But I've had manicures.
You've had the manicures.
And I've had to put clear nail polish on.
Look at you, man. You are a modern man. You know what I do? I bite my nails and they're all jagged. That's what I do. And spit them out.
See? Again.
That's a man. I had a hungry man's dinner last night, and I spit out my nails. That's what I do. That's what I do. Hey, if we're going to talk a little bit about this later on in the NFL. We'll have an NFL segment later on. Talk about off-season moves and what could happen here before the NFL draft. But Aaron Rodgers is not coming back to New York. I think most people thought that was going to be the case. He will not return to the Jets. He reportedly flew back, I guess, from California to meet with Woody Johnson, and according to reports, came to the conclusion that that's it. He's done. The Jets are going to go in a different direction. But the fact that he went back to New York, did it in person, to me tells me that he's trying to play one more year, at least one more year. So it's not going to be the Jets, apparently. If you're the Titans, and I saw the odds on, I don't know if it was FanDuel or whatever, of Aaron Rodgers' next team, if there is a next team. And Pittsburgh, I think, had the best odds. That would be Pittsburgh. And we've heard gone back and forth with the Russell Wilson thing. We've heard different stories, whether Wilson is going to be back or not. But there's been 4 or 5 different NFL teams mentioned for Aaron Rodgers, and none of those 5, or the top 5 rather, in the odds is the Titans. I would think that the Titans, if you could bring in Aaron Rodgers for a season, unless you're just going to, roll with Mr. Mayo, and therefore at the number 1 pick, you don't have to take a quarterback, unless you're enamored with Shadur Sanders or Cam Ward, which I don't know if they are. You have a chance to pick Abdul Carter or whoever, but you can also trade down, and that's been rumored as well. Would you take a chance if you're the Titans, who were pathetic last year? And I don't even know if Aaron Rodgers, if he wants to play again, would want to play there with that anemic offensive line. Would you, if you're the Titans and the new management, reach out to Aaron Rodgers?
No, I don't see why he would make any sense for the Titans.
In what way?
They're not ready to win. Like, this is like, if you're getting Aaron Rodgers, it's because you think he could come in and help you win in 1 year. You just think, we need a good veteran quarterback for this 1 year. That's our missing piece. Titans are in a complete rebuild. What's the purpose of a gap year veteran quarterback?
So both ways. For the Titans, it doesn't make sense, and Aaron Rodgers doesn't make sense either. Aaron Rodgers is not going to want to play for a team that's going to be mediocre. All right, makes sense. Pittsburgh's number 1 as far as the odds. Does Pittsburgh make sense? Although, again, Russell Wilson may come back. It may end up being they bring him back.
Pittsburgh's a playoff team. I think Pittsburgh probably thinks that with good quarterback play, they can compete right now. So, yeah, it would make sense.
There's also the rumor that the Raiders will take now they are number 2, I think, on that list, but that they could take a run at Sam Darnold if Minnesota moves on from Darnold and rolls with the rookie J.J. McCarthy. There's several teams. Now, again, Oakland would fall into that category of they're not good, right? They're not ready to make a run at the Super Bowl. Pittsburgh is a different story, so that's why probably they're the odds-on favorite. All right, when we come back, hour 2, it's going to be busy. We open up with Humdinger's Trivia. Then Jermaine Johnson will join us from the Memphis Tigers coaching staff. And then at 9:25, Drew Hill will join us to talk some Grizzlies. You're tuned in to Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
There's an institution in East Memphis that I love talking about. It's the Spirit Shop at 4848 Poplar Avenue, right down the street from Clark Tower, and it looks like a log cabin. It's been around Memphis since 1969 with a family-owned, friendly, knowledgeable sales staff that is just a wonderful place to go. I love going in and talking wine or bourbons, and they've got such great selection. So if you've not visited the Spirit Shop in a while, it's been remodeled. You'll love what you see when you need spirits. Tell Eddie Wollo said hello.
With Progressive's Name Your Price tool, you get coverage options based on how much you want to pay for car insurance. And then you decide how to spend the rest of your money, because you're in charge. Today, you're going to pay down your credit card bill. But you decide when you'll pay it. Before the due date, so those interest charges don't get you. But you decide if you pay it in full. But you definitely should, because again, interest charges. Progressive's Name Your Price tool will help you find coverage at a fair price. And you're in charge.
You get the best of Memphis for lunch and dinner at Elwood Shack. Choose from house pastrami, corned beef, smoked turkey, roast beef, roast pork, beef brisket, and full shoulders, all made in-house. Elwood's fresh baked bread is delivered daily only in our bakery in Cordova, and all Elwood's cakes and sweet treats come from Frost Bakery. Open daily for lunch and dinner at Elwood Shack on Summer in the Lowe's parking lot, and the newest Elwood at 4040 Parkland across from the New Urban. Get the best of Memphis or anywhere else at Elwood Shack. This traffic brought to you by Brinson Tax Service. They protect you like family.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good morning. Has increased out here in a couple of spots. Coming inbound out of Olive Branch there on Lamar up towards 240 as you work your way through the Midtown area. That's only going to get busier probably the next 15, 20 minutes. So of that traffic on Austin B Highway southbound, working your way up on that ramp there to I-40. If your lawn needs a little bit of help this time of the year, don't worry. Lawn Solutions has over 30 years experience. Give them a call today at Lawn Solutions 867-5626. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
From the Family Leisure Studios, we are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis.
Now back to Sports 56 mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by James Gaddis Jewelers.
Don't you just love it?
Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome in if you're just tuning in. 8 o'clock straight up, hour 2 here on Sports 56 Mornings, the Tuesday, February 11th, 2025 edition. Greg Gaston, Eli Savoy, Elijah Seegers with you from the Family Leisure Studios. Family Leisure, their preseason pool and patio sale going on right now at 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40. A wet Tuesday, 40 degrees currently. It'll get up to 46 today, but rain throughout the day. It'll start to taper off later this afternoon, but then more rain overnight into Wednesday, about a 90% chance of rain tomorrow with a high of 48 before we see the sun on Thursday, but unfortunately a high of only 38 degrees. We're going to tell you about all the deals that's coming up this week at James Gaddis Jewelers when Jay Gaddis joins us in about 20 minutes. So stay tuned for that. If you haven't gotten a Valentine's gift yet for your loved one, certainly jewelry makes sense, and Jay will give you everything, all the details that's happening at James Gaddis Jewelers. But it is Tuesday. It's time for Humdinger's Trivia.
That's right. And, of course, on a cold, rainy Tuesday, well, you can feel a lot better by going and getting maybe one of those po' boy sandwiches or some of the grilled fish options. Or maybe you want to go with the tacos because it is Tuesday, and that means Taco Tuesday at Humdinger's. Every Tuesday, the chicken and fish tacos are just $2 each. That's all day each and every Tuesday that you can take advantage of that. Beyond the tacos, again, so many great things on the menu. Those great grilled fish options that they have. With the great toppings, the great sides. You can get any of the grilled fish on a sandwich as well, or again, one of those po' boys, or maybe the piri-piri burger, or their chicken Philly. Great appetizers like the crab cakes or the Humdinger shrimp or some of their wings. You can go to humdingersrestaurant.com. You can see the entire menu right there. You can also get information about catering if you've got an event that you need catered. They can take care of that as well. And you can get information on the website. You can also order online on the website at humdingersrestaurant.com. Humdinger's over at Poplar and Massey in East Memphis. And again, every Tuesday is Taco Tuesday. And every Tuesday, we give away a $25 gift certificate. If you are the first to answer our trivia question correctly, then you'll win. And you can answer via text on the Sports 56 and Sissy's Log Cam and listener line at 901-360-8255. Text in your answers. First correct answer gets the $25 gift certificate. You only get one guess, and if you've won in the last 30 days, you are not eligible. Here is today's question. Jalen Hurts in the Super Bowl just a couple of days ago became the second quarterback in Super Bowl history with 2 or more passing touchdowns, 50 or more rushing yards, and a rushing touchdown. Which quarterback did he join? Who's the other quarterback that's had 2 passing touchdowns, a rushing touchdown, and at least 50 rushing yards in a Super Bowl? 360-8255, 360-8255. Text in those answers. First correct answer, $25 gift certificate to Humdingers.
The Memphis Tigers have a 7-game winning streak, and they'll look to make it 8 on Thursday night as they travel to Tampa to take on South Florida. Then Sunday, they'll head to Wichita to meet Wichita State. We're very pleased to be joined by the University of Memphis Tigers Director of Coaching Analytics, their defensive guru. He is Coach Jermaine Johnson. You can follow him on Twitter at IamCoachJJ. And Coach Jermaine Johnson joins us now on Sports 56 Mornings. Coach, how are you?
Good morning, guys. How you guys doing?
Doing fantastic. Let me start right away with what Penny Hardaway had to say about what you did. This was last night on his radio coaches show. He said on Sunday, after a little bit of a struggle in the first half against Temple, you convinced him to go to a 1-3-1 defense with Moussa Cisse at the top, and it resulted in a much better defensive effort in the second half and a victory. Obviously, Penny thinks a lot of you from a defensive standpoint. How many different formulas do you have, Coach? How many different defensive schemes do you have that you can go to at any beck and call?
Well, that's a great question. First, I want to thank Coach for just believing, man, for having me a part of this journey and this process. And we have a plethora of packages, and so it just depends on who's on the court. We have a package for the best lineup to contain the dribble, the best lineup to challenge and block shots, and the best trapping and pressing lineup. In this particular instance, we were struggling scoring, so we need to generate more possessions on the offensive end by making them take quick shots and getting them out of their comfort zones. And so having a guy 6'11" at the top of it, with Dane, who's 6'9", with big wings, 6'3", 6'4", with our little guy in the back as our warrior, we make that adjustment. And so I was just, ready for the opportunity. But hey, Coach is the head coach, and that's what you hire people for, to do their jobs. And so at that moment, that occurred.
I called the game on Wednesday when you guys beat Tulsa, and there was the second half when the team started to catch fire from the outside shooting threes, but it was all because of what you did on the defensive end. You started to pressure and you forced turnovers. You guys have a very effective press, but don't always use it. Is that because of the depth of the team? You certainly don't have a real deep bench, and you don't want to get into foul trouble. When do you use it and when don't you? Because it really triggered the offense and everything clicked well. And obviously the 1-3-1 that you used forced some turnovers and was much better defensive effort in the second half of the Temple game.
Well, our mindset, Coach, as long as I've been knowing him, his disposition on defense is to dominate. And so we like to say defend to win. And there's 3 areas that we like to focus on. That's first, getting back, man. We don't want to give up no easy buckets in transition. We want to take pride in our effort in sprinting back. And so when we're not doing a great job of sprinting back off of misses, then our makes, a lot of times we can't get in our press because we're not making shots. And so we have to rely on our transition defense so that we can get set to be able to make stops. And then once we get in the half court, we want to close out hard and don't give up open shots. And so we talk about multiple efforts. I know you hear coaches all across the country say, we got to give multiple efforts. Well, it's all about the second, third, fourth, and fifth effort for us. And then at the end of the day, how do you close out a possession? And that's completing it with a rebound. We need 5 guys rebounding. The first time we played Temple, we only had 1 or 2 people rebounding, going against 5 guys that were crashing. Mm-hmm. And so they got 22 opportunities, and they scored 18 points off those second chance opportunities. So we made a concerted effort to really work on boxing out and getting back on defense when we're not making our shots.
Along that line, when teams go zone, it's often talked about that it's harder to rebound because you got to find a guy. So when you go to that 1-3-1 against a team that rebounded so well against you in the first meeting, is there a little concern there about rebounding?
No, because we knew going in that against us they were going to do what we call flybys. And so if they're going to fly by, then all 5 guys, we have to gang rebound, whether we in man or zone. We have to gang rebound. And so that's get into areas, forming a triangle, and hitting first. So we made a concerted effort to hit first and gang rebound. And so Coach said, man, if we rebound or win the rebounding war, that means we all rebound, then we'll have a great chance of winning this game.
It seems like as the season has progressed, and most recently, Dane Danger has become a much more well-rounded player where he's putting a lot more effort on the defense. We know what on the defensive side. We know what he can do offensively. But I know Coach has basically said to him, listen, we need more on the defensive side. So what is it? Was it just a matter of him being more concentrating more on that end, putting more of an effort into it, or was there anything scheme-wise, anything that you guys did in practice to prepare him to become a much better defensive player?
I think Dane, for him starting off, he had to master the 3 sets, Greg, and obviously he has the skill set. I think he's done a great job in everywhere he's been in mastering that. But for Penny Hardaway, he had to master the next set. That was the mindset. And so him having the right mind frame coming in to learn the coach, what me and Penny always laugh about, his controlled, chaotic system. He had to develop the right mindset. And so once he did that, each day we had to continue to reset it. You know what I mean? You have to reset every day to have that right mindset to play for Coach Hardaway, because you have to be a two-way player. You just can't hang your hat on one end of the floor. You have to be a two-way player. You have to be able to sprint back on defense. You have to be able to sprint on offense. You have to be able to hit somebody, grabbing defensive rebounds. You have to get ready to swing by somebody to get an offensive rebound. And so that takes relentless effort. And so if your mind is not right, you're not going to be ready to, or more apt to do your job. And so I think he's mastered those 3 sets, which made him productive.
How much did not having Tyrese Hunter change what you guys had to do, or with Dante Harris stepping in there, was there not much change in kind of the approach?
I think it was a change, but it was twofold. You know, Dante is a seasoned veteran. He played in big games. He's played high major basketball, so he was just ready and maximize his moment. But what Tyrese brought, Tyrese is a big time wolf. But sometimes, you know, wolves don't run alone; they run in packs, and so that's what the strength of the pack indicated on Sunday afternoon. Tyrese shoots 44% from 3-point range. We were missing that. You know, Dante, that's not one of his strengths, but what he did bring to the table, he brought ball security. He brought tenacious defense. He brought him knowing the playbook. He brought getting others involved, and he also brought great leadership. And so it substituted well, and we're grateful to have that young man. But we definitely missed Tyrese, because if we'd had him as well, that's more fire to the smoke.
Any word yet on the injury status of Hunter?
We would know in about an hour. We start practice at 10, and so we'll know in about an hour.
Okay, hopefully he's okay. Jermaine Johnson is joining us, the Director of Coaching Analytics, defensive coach specialty, the defensive end of things for the University of Memphis Tigers. You can follow him on Twitter at IamCoachJJ. He's joining us on the Sissy's Log Cabin guest lines. Coach, what's the big difference between this year's team and last year's team?
Developing that it factor. I mean, Coach is able to be, when you look at an acronym, he's intentionally telling them the truth, and we're living in it. We're telling the truth, and we're taking the truth. A lot of times you can tell the truth, but they don't want to live in the truth. Mm-hmm. So since they don't want to live in the truth, they can't take the truth. And so this crew, I would say, have developed that it factor, and Coach Hardaway has been able to do it every single day, giving them intentionally the truth.
How much do you think being together as long as they were in the off season, they came together, they were all there by May 1st, I believe it was, to have that camaraderie and that bond that was built over the summer, how important was that?
Very important. Very important. It was part of our winter's compass. And when you're trying to go north, when you've been south, getting to know one another is very important. Laying that foundation, getting to know who you are. You know, people don't care how much you know. They just want to know how much you care. And so when teammates care about one another, care about the staff care about the players in return, then you develop a family bond. And I think that was very critical in the elevation and evolving of this team.
The there's no secret when you look at the numbers. The big issue that this team has had is the turnovers. How do you correct a turnover problem?
Repping it every day, mastering the fundamentals. You know, people think schemes win games, fundamental win games. So getting back to the basic, meeting passes, catching the passes with two hands, working on your footwork, working on your ball handling, working on decision making. All those fundamental things plays a big part in you trying to become the best, what we call champion stuff. And so limiting turnovers, coach likes to have, that's his goal, 10 or less. And we've been trying our best to keep it below that.
A lot of things you've said so far have to do with the mental part of the game, right? And
right.
You have 7 games left to go in conference play to wrap up the regular season, then the conference tournament. And on paper, some of these teams, a lot of these teams in the conference, let's be frank, are inferior. But doesn't mean that they can't step up and beat you. And you guys know the situation you're in because right now you're sitting as one of the top 15 teams in the country. You have a bullseye, and you know that a loss really is crippling as far as seeding is concerned in the NCAA tournament. You guys know that. The coaching staff knows that. Penny understands that. You understand that. Is that something that is relayed to the players? Do they know it themselves? In other words, how can you be mentally focused and tough for every single one of these games? Because it's going to take that.
Yes, great question. You have to get over, first of all, you have to get over yourself because you're gonna fight a daily battle. And that battle is that person you look in the mirror. Do I want to work today? Do I want to take the day off? And if you're trying to get that common goal of winning the championship, you got to have a 1-0 mindset every single day. I have to win this day. How do I win this day? So you got to get over yourself. Then you have to sacrifice. What am I going to do outside of the required work? We have to do the unrequired work. That's film study. Because Sun Tzu said it best in the art of war, you have to thine own self, you have to know your enemy. Mm-hmm. You have to know your enemy. And so when you go into war, your enemy going to know you. She's trying to be the best version of themselves to win the war. And so you have to know your enemies. And sometimes you got to sacrifice by doing the unrequired work. And then you have to embrace role, identity, embracing the role. I want to star in my role. Who is the best? I got to be the best cutter. I can't be the best scorer this night. I'm going to be the best screener. I'm going to be the best blocking out guy. I'm going to be the best one to be the first to the floor. And so embracing your role and then the power of a teammate. Sometimes not going to be your night. When you're on the road, when you're going in the trenches and things not going well, I got to be able to cheer on my teammate. And so the power of the teammate, and that's important. And so if you have those 4 must-haves and have a 1-0 mindset, and then the end result will take care of itself.
Along that line, how do you kind of develop, I don't know, I guess it's, if you want to call it the killer instinct or whatever, there's been the opportunities late in some of these games to really put teams away, and they've been able to come back and make it a close game in the final minutes. How do you kind of get to, when you get up 10, extend that to 15 or extend that to 20?
Wow, another great question. Again, it's mental. It's mindset. You have to... success doesn't stop once you get there. What got you here won't get you there. So once you get that 10-point lead, what got you that 10-point lead, you have to go to a whole nother stratosphere in terms of effort, being relentless, being disciplined, managing the clock, taking shots. Again, that's uncontested shots in the wanting moments of the game. And that comes with being disciplined and having the game plan discipline. And I think as more and more as we learn from our mistakes, we'll be able to close those gaps, the capability gap, the knowledge gap, and then the teamness gap to be able to end game the right way.
All right, a couple more things real quick. I know you got to get ready for practice. Coach, how has Penny Hardaway become, and you've been with him for a while now, how has he developed into the coach he is today over the last few years? How has he gotten better? Because I think people around the nation are taking notice with the coaching job he's done this season.
Yes, he's done a phenomenal job. but I've been with him 5 of the 7 years in some capacity. You can't fight in the ring and in the corner, Greg. It's hard if you're a boxer and you go in to fight, whether it's a championship fight or not. Once you're in that ring, you got to fight that opposition, whoever you're boxing against. That's hard all enough. You done train, you don't work so hard to win that fight. So now you don't win that round. You go back to the corner. Then what happens? You have people in your corner to give you ice, to take out your mouthpiece, to put water over your head. Well, it's been situations where he's been in the corner and he's been getting hit by his own people. That's tough. And then you got to go back out there and fight the opposition. That's really tough. When you have a clear mind, you have clarity, you have people that support you, that's going to roll with you, whatever you decide and say, let's go. You don't agree with everything, but when you leave that room and you leave that decision moment, you say, okay, I'm all in. Let's go. I believe in you. There's no buy-in without believing. And I think he's finally got it where he got people that believe in him, and he's able to show the best version of himself.
And two of those newcomers to the staff, Coach Davis, a veteran head coach who's been around forever, and Coach Smith, a younger coach, energetic and fun to be around. What have those two brought to the table to help mold this whole entire coaching staff?
Championship mindset. They've been around winning programs. Coach Mike Davis, he won big at Indiana, played for a national championship, following probably one of the greatest coaches of all time, Bobby Knight. He sat up under him. He got a firsthand tutorial of championship pedigree. Then obviously Coach Smith played at Duke, been up under Coach K, another Hall of Famer. And so when you bring those two guys into what Penny is trying to implement, it's a championship pedigree. You have people that got championship stuff all around them, in them, to help add value to what we already done.
He is Coach Jermaine Johnson. You can follow him on Twitter at IamCoachJJ. Absolute pleasure having you on, Coach. You got a couple of these road games. One game you may have to bring shorts to. The other game you may have to bring a winter jacket. But either way, got to win some road games. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, guys, man. You guys have a great day.
You too. Take care.
We do have a winner in our Humdinger's trivia. No tiebreaker needed today. This was a tougher question. This was not an easy one.
Give us the question again.
Jalen Hurts became the second quarterback to have 2 passing touchdowns, 50 or more rushing yards, and a rushing touchdown in a Super Bowl. I asked who the other quarterback was that had done that before Jalen Hurts did it in this Super Bowl.
Okay. How far do you got to go back? Do you got to go very far?
You got to go back a decent bit.
I'm thinking somebody like Steve Young.
Steve Young did not do it.
Okay.
Steve Young did not have 50 rushing yards or a rushing touchdown.
Okay.
There was a lot of... Well, somebody thought I did a trick question, thought Jalen Hurts had done it twice. No, he did not. He did not have multiple passing touchdowns in his other Super Bowl. A lot of folks came with Cam Newton. Certainly would make sense. John Elway. There were a lot of Steve Youngs. Colin Kaepernick. Colin Kaepernick came close, but he did not have multiple passing touchdowns in his Super Bowl.
You're not going way, way back, are you? You're not going back to like Fran Tarkenton or something like that?
No.
Okay.
The correct answer is Joe Montana.
Joe Montana?
Joe Montana.
Wow.
In Super Bowl 19 against the Dolphins. Had 59 rushing yards in that game. And a rushing touchdown, also threw for 3 touchdowns and over 300 yards in that game. Joe Montana, his 59 yards is the 6th most rushing yards ever by a quarterback in a Super Bowl.
Darn.
More than Steve Young had, more than Cam Newton had.
Oh, my gosh.
More than Russell Wilson or any of those guys.
I just forgot. I mean,
the only guys with more rushing yards in a Super Bowl as a quarterback are Kaepernick, McNair, Mahomes, and Hurts twice.
I do think when we talk about the greatest quarterbacks ever. And Montana comes up in most people's, answer to that question. But I don't think he's appreciated and as high on the list as he probably should be for what he accomplished.
It was amazing. I mean, 4-0 in Super Bowls.
Absolutely. But people will say, they'll say, obviously Brady's number one. And then you got Mahomes, and then people will say Elway, and people will say Peyton Manning, and then they'll throw in whoever, Drew Brees. Man. But Joe Montana, unbelievable.
We did have a few people who got it correct, but there was one that was the fastest to get the correct answer. So we'll be notifying them, letting you know how to get your $25 gift certificate to Humdingers.
Good trivia question. All right, we'll take a time out. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
If you need glass replaced, there's only one name you need to know. Benswinger Glass, the largest full-service glass company in the U.S. They've been an industry leader for over 145 years. For all your residential, commercial, or auto glass needs, Benswinger Glass is the name you need to know. 24-hour emergency service for all commercial customers, plus a nationwide warranty on all professionally installed glass. Visit Benswinger Glass in Midtown at 340 South Hollywood, across from the Liberty Bowl. Visit BenswingerGlass.com. Benswinger Glass.
With Progressive's Name Your Price tool, you get coverage options based on how much you want to pay for car insurance. And then you decide how to spend the rest of your money, because you're in charge. Today, you're going to pay down your credit card bill. But you decide when you'll pay it. Before the due date, so those interest charges don't get you. But you decide if you pay it in full. But you definitely should, because again, interest charges. Progressive's Name Your Price tool will help you find coverage at a fair price. And you're in charge. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and government restrictions and contracts by state law.
Good morning. Starting to pick up a little bit more volume in the last few minutes as you come down I-40 westbound from Germantown Parkway all the way past Sycamore View Road, getting up on that 240 flyover. Some of that traffic has picked up also there, getting onto Sam Cooper coming inbound. It still looks pretty good right now on 51 southbound as you work your way down through Millington. Hey, Weimer's Jewelry, 7525 Highway 64 is your Valentine's Day headquarters. Go see them this week. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Sports 56 Mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by James Gaddis Jewelers. Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Welcome back, everyone. 8:27 the time. Thanks to Jermaine Johnson for joining us on the program. Coming up in hour 3, plenty of Grizzlies talk. Drew Hill will join us, Grizzlies beat writer for the Daily Memphian. The Grizzlies back in action tonight in Phoenix. Well, gentlemen and ladies, Friday, Valentine's Day. And what makes Valentine's Day so special? The loved ones in your lives. So you want to make sure that you get something nice for the loved ones in your lives. Whether it's your husband, your wife, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your daughter, your son, whatever the case may be. And jewelry makes an awful lot of sense. And you know that James Gaddis Jewelers is the second-hour sponsor of Sports 56 Mornings each and every day. Located in the heart of East Memphis at 4900 Poplar, on the web at GaddisJewelers.com. They're open Monday through Friday, 10 to 5, Saturday, 10 to 4. They're closed on Sunday. And we are joined by our good friend Jay Gaddis here in studio. Jay, you getting all revved up for Valentine's Day?
Getting revved up, getting excited. You know, it's a big week for us. It's a big week for everyone. A lot of great gift giving, and it's just a great week to celebrate love.
We talk so much about, speaking of love, engagement rings, the wedding, the diamond rings, and the wedding rings, and the wedding personally designed wedding sets. We do that all the time. Of course, that's one of your specialties, is that. But for Valentine's Day, there's more than that. You got pendants, and you got necklaces, and you got bracelets, and you have all kinds of rings, and you have watches, and all types of different watches as well. But you also have gifts that are not going to, cost you to have to take another job or anything like that.
Absolutely.
You got some very inexpensive, great gifts for Valentine's Day.
We do. We've got some beautiful pieces right now, under $500, under $1,000. Something to just say, just a little happy. Or we also have the big showstoppers, the diamonds, the gemstones. Yellow gold is very fashionable right now. I'm really happy that that's back. It's a great look, big and clunky jewelry. But yeah, we have a lot of the smaller items too that are great. just to say I love you.
Where did the yellow gold go? You said it's back. Where?
I don't know. I think it went into a lot of grandmother's lock boxes, and now it's coming out again, and people are wearing it, and it's just gorgeous. It's it's just a great look. It's you can wear more than one, which is something we love. But yeah, it's just seeing someone adorned in yellow gold. It's a great look. It's glowing. So
we talk a lot about also with you guys. Vintage jewelry, antique jewelry. That's why I say every time you go into James Gaddis Jewelers, you're going to see jewelry that you didn't see the previous time you went in there. But is that something for Valentine's Day? Would you look at maybe some of that antique and vintage jewelry that you have or not?
Yeah, absolutely. Vintage jewelry tells a story, and Valentine's Day is all about love stories. And, that's what we like to celebrate. And, having something that someone's enjoyed in the past and is just a beautiful design, it makes it so much nicer to enjoy in the future.
You also have all the birthstones, so for whether it be earrings or I would imagine maybe you have a lot of bracelets that have maybe not all of them, but most of the birthstones that do correspond with the any given month that you're born in, and you can go ahead and get that.
Absolutely, and rubies, red. That's always a great gift for Valentine's Day. We've got some heart jewelry. A lot of options at Gaddis Jewelers, and we'll work with you on price and make sure that she gets exactly something that she's going to love forever and love you more for it.
Yeah, that's interesting. Work with you on price. The big box stores, the big conglomerates, you're not getting that, right? You're getting probably a salesperson that's doing their best that they can, but they don't have the leadway to do those type of things. With a family-run, owned and operated store, especially like a store like James Gaddis Jewelers that's been around for 6 decades, those type of things are possible.
Absolutely, yeah, and we just want to make the recipient of the gift happy. We want to make you happy. We want to make you confident that you're gonna love it watching her wear it, and she's gonna love wearing it, and it's gonna be something you can pass down to your kids. Also, you made a great comment earlier about gift giving with Valentine's Day. Daughters, or
right,
giving jewelry to daughters, I think from a father's standpoint is such a special gift. And like you said, we do have a lot of lower priced items that daughters can really enjoy. So. Just a great holiday to celebrate, and we've got everything you need.
And then, of course, spring, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of folks popping the question.
Oh, yeah.
And if that's the case, Eli got his from Gaddis, and a lot of people I know also purchased their engagement rings from Gaddis. So that's the time, spring, summer, really any time of the year, but mostly in nice weather and all that. And you have an unbelievable selection of diamond engagement rings.
Absolutely. And a Gaddis diamond is a lifetime engagement with us as well. We're here to clean it, to fix it, to upgrade it, to help you, when on Valentine's Day, help you at Christmas, help you when you're in the doghouse, whatever it may be. Being a part of our buying something from our stores, being a part of our family, and we see it that way.
Yeah, that's a great point. I always talk about your full service jewelers, ready to serve the folks. And again, when you buy a piece of jewelry, it's there for the lifetime of that jewelry. So you need a cleaning, you need a resetting. Fingers swell, they get skinny too. You lose weight. I mean, you're there to take care of that. That's what they do. You don't get that kind of love at the big box stores. You get it at James Gaddis Jewelers. So go on over and visit them, and especially the next few days as you get ready for Valentine's Day on Friday, take advantage of some great items for lower cost that you're going to really wow somebody in your life, whether, again, it's a wife, a daughter, a girlfriend, whether it's a son, whether it's a nephew, a niece, a cousin, whoever you may be getting a beautiful present for Valentine's Day, it makes sense to go visit the great folks at James Gaddis Jewelers. And again, for all your bridal, engagement, and anniversary jewelry, it is right there at James Gaddis Jewelers. You can't miss it. 4900 Poplar between Mendenhall and St. Nick. Say hello to James and say hello to your father. Say hello to your mother, Linda, and all the great folks at James Gaddis Jewelers. He is Jay Gaddis. Thank you, Jay.
Thanks, guys.
Really appreciate that. Jay's got some work to do. He's got a lot of work to do over there at James Gaddis Jewelers.
Sporting the Memphis State Penny jersey.
Oh, yeah.
He's looking good.
He first thought Penny was coming on today. It wasn't Penny. It was Coach Johnson. But he is a big Tigers fan. And James Gaddis and all the folks over there are huge sports fans. Absolutely. So, again, great people, man. They've been around with us for a long time. So we always appreciate what they do. All right. All right, we were talking a little bit about the Grizzlies earlier, not a lot about the Grizzlies, but they go on the road. They'll play the TNT game tonight against the Suns. Again, it's a Suns team. You mentioned no Bradley Beal. You still have KD. You still have Devin Booker. You still have some quality players, but the sum is not as strong as their individual parts. And that's why it's just not worked out. They weren't able to make the trade and get Jimmy Butler. So I don't know where they go from here, what their future is. I know they have a very energetic and eager owner in Matt Ishbia. But this is a game the Grizzlies, especially coming off the performance against Oklahoma City, should do well. I think they should go in there and take care of business tonight.
You'd hope so. Certainly, again, the performance against Oklahoma City, I think for a lot of people was a little eye-opening. Just to see the way Oklahoma City came in, with the Grizzlies fully healthy and everybody in action, and to have Oklahoma City dominate them the way they did when Oklahoma City was missing 3 rotation guys on the Grizzlies' home floor is a little troubling. So a couple of road games here going into the All-Star break. It would be nice to get both of them. Denver's gotten red hot. They've won 7 in a row now, so they're only a game behind the Grizzlies in the standings. Obviously, the Lakers have been coming on as well. So knowing what Oklahoma City did to you on your home floor for the postseason, you'd like to avoid Oklahoma City for as long as possible. So you don't want to be falling down to like number 4 or something like that, where you'd get them in the second round. You want to definitely stay up there in that number 2 spot if possible, and know that you wouldn't see Oklahoma City till the conference finals. And this is a couple of games here where they are certainly winnable, but on the road, these are not by any means easy games.
The Thunder won again last night, and they're destroying teams. They beat New Orleans 137-101. Chet Holmgren was back after not playing in the Memphis game. Also, Lou Dort, who missed that game, he was back. Thunder they're toying with some of these teams. Who do you think in the West, and Elijah, you can answer this as well, who do you think matches up best against Oklahoma City?
I don't know that any. I don't know. I mean, SGA right now is just playing at a level that is like he's scoring easily. Like, he just makes everything look very, very simple. He's so smooth. Like, that's like it. Just watching him play it's crazy. We haven't seen them really. We've now that Holmgren's back, we finally kind of see them fully put together. But you watch that team, there's not a whole lot of weakness there. I mean, they've got it all. So I don't know. They're going, and
they got it in spades. They have backups
really
good.
Hard to beat in a 7-game series.
I think so as well. We had a lot of blowouts last night. We had some close games. We had an overtime game, as I mentioned earlier, with the Kings and the Mavericks, with the Kings winning 129-128. But you mentioned Denver. They beat Portland. Portland had been playing really, really well. Yes, I'm not kidding. They had, if you've been paying attention. And Denver scored 146 on them and didn't play their studs in the fourth quarter, which killed me at a triple-double, because Jokic gets a triple-double every game, and I've benefited from that, but he didn't play in the fourth quarter. He had 40. When he wants to score or when he needs to score, he can score. He had 40 points, 8 assists, and 7 rebounds, and he did not play in the fourth quarter. But, yeah, look, Denver's dangerous, and they didn't even have Michael Porter Jr., and they put up 146 points on a Portland team that had been playing well defensively. Lakers beat the Jazz, as we talked about with Luka's debut, 132-113. We had the Warriors go to Milwaukee and win by 14, 125-111. So they're 2-0 since Jimmy Butler has joined forces with Steph Curry. Curry's been shooting out of his mind, well, he has for his entire career. But recently, last 4 games, he's had, and it may not be in this particular order, I think it's 8, 6, 6, and 6 as far as threes made in the game. And so they're playing well. And then over in the East, the Cavaliers crushed the Timberwolves 128-107. The Celtics blew out the Heat 103-85. So, the best of the best is taking charge now, because it really, even though we got the break coming up, it's that time now where you put it into another gear and put yourself in the best position to be the highest you can in the standings and have that momentum going into the postseason.
Well, if you look at the top of the West, the Grizzlies, they had their winning streak snapped, obviously, by Oklahoma City. But Oklahoma City's won 6 in a row. The Nuggets have won 7 in a row. The The have won 6 in a row. The the Rockets have just been getting lapped by everybody because they're struggling and everybody else is winning. The Nuggets, of the top 4 teams in the West, the Nuggets, who have won 7 in a row, have the worst record in their last 10 games of those 4 teams. Oklahoma City's 8-2, Grizzlies 8-2, Lakers 9-1, and Denver had lost 3 in a row before they won the 7 in a row.
Well,
those teams at the top of the West right now are all red hot, and trying to finish going into this All-Star break. Again, that's for the Grizzlies. Like, you lose a couple of these games, suddenly you might be you could be 4th in a heartbeat in the West with the way the Lakers are playing right now and the way the Nuggets are playing.
Exactly. And to your point about Houston, I don't know what has happened, because I don't think they have an injury. Şengün returned, and they went from second place to now percentage points behind the Lakers and sitting in 5th. Now, I don't think there's much jeopardy into dropping out and going into the play-in, because you have the Clippers, who are 3.5 behind Houston for the 5th spot. They are tied and technically 2 percentage points better than Minnesota for that final spot in the playoffs. Minnesota would be the top team in the play-in. Dallas, obviously, with the Davis injury. Now, we'll see how bad the Gafford injury is. They're teetering. Sacramento made all these trades. Fox is now gone, so how long are they going to hang into their spot? Golden State is coming up. So Golden State, I think, is going to be a play-in team. Phoenix, again, I don't think they have much. They don't have much momentum, and they certainly don't have much. It's just they have a couple of superstars, and they don't have chemistry. The Spurs, not this year, but with Fox joining forces with Wembanyama, what they do in the draft. Castle is a good-looking player. They're 23-28, so probably not going to get into the play-in. I'm not saying that the 10 teams that will be in the postseason from the West are set and etched in stone. They're not. But you're right about teams dropping from the playoffs to the play-in. It is not inconceivable that it can happen. Because, again, you're talking about Memphis in 2nd and Golden State in 10th, separated by only 8.5 total games. There's still enough time. But Memphis, I think, is in pretty good shape as far as being a playoff team. It's just, will they be 2, 3, 4? Where will they end up being? I don't see them dropping much past 4th.
The Warriors, with these last couple wins, they now have a positive point differential in the year. So the top 10 teams in the Western Conference now have a positive point differential on the year. In the East, there's only 5 teams.
It's the same deal every year, isn't it? In the East,
Miami at 25-26 is in 7th. In the West, Phoenix at 500, 26-26 is 11th. I mean, it is the West it's just brutal. I mean, again, it's going to take 45, probably 46 wins, and that's just going to get you into the bottom of the play-in. Elijah, is there a team that you would say that has the best matchup, I guess, for Oklahoma City?
I was going to say Denver because, like you said, last night was just one of those nights where they don't miss. They started that game 11 for 11, didn't miss a shot until 3 minutes left in the first quarter. So they have these offensive nights where they just go nuclear. And I think even for a team as defensively adept as OKC, with a star player like Jokic, you just can't stop it some nights. Now, in a 7-game series, I still would take OKC over anybody right now, but I do think Denver presents the best challenge.
And that's the thing with again, they're because they are so good defensively, but then again, you got SGA who could score at will. Jalen Williams, you've got shooters. Like you have to hope Oklahoma City has bad night from 3-point range. Like that's what it comes down to. They're not loaded with 3-point shooters. That's your hope against Oklahoma City. But SGA has the ability to score from so many different levels, get to the free throw line and shoot 20 free throws a game. Again, that's why if you go back to like the Grizzlies, if Aaron Wiggins is going to do that, if he's going to hit 8 threes, tip your cap. Good night. You are not beating Oklahoma City if Aaron Wiggins is hitting 8 threes.
No, there's so many weapons. You know, Isaiah Joe comes off the bench. He knocks down two or three threes, and they just are really, really deep and talented. But Denver, when they won the title just a few years ago, and it's pretty much the same cast of characters. You add in a Russell Westbrook, who's older but defensive-oriented. Russell Westbrook could possibly he's not going to stop SGA, but maybe can get in his grill a little bit. And then you have Aaron Gordon, who at times can be really explosive. Sometimes he goes to sleep out there on the court. But Jokic is the guy. You're not going to stop him. I don't care if you're Hartenstein or Holmgren. You're not stopping Jokic. But I don't know. I'm with you. I don't know if Denver still would have enough in a long series to knock off OKC. You mentioned the East, though, and I know we're up against a break here. It's the same deal every year for the East. There's 5 teams that are going to be in the play-in / playoffs, 5 or 6, that have no chance, that have absolutely no chance. Now, I give a lot of credit this year to Detroit, going from what they were pathetic last year. Right now, they're in the playoffs. Right now, they're number 6. So a lot of credit to Detroit. And they got some talent. But Detroit, Miami, Atlanta, Orlando, Chicago, none of those teams are winning it. Indiana's in 4th. They're not winning it, I don't think. I mean, so you're looking at Cleveland, Boston, New York, Milwaukee, maybe. But in the West, I mean, is it crazy right now with the addition of Jimmy Butler? I mean, it's not going to happen, I don't think. But it's not crazy to go, all right, Golden State goes crazy and wins the West.
That's crazy.
You think it's absolutely crazy?
Yes.
Bonkers?
I think that's pretty crazy still, I do.
Okay. All right, maybe it is. Maybe it is. You could throw out Sacramento. Now, Dallas, if they have AD, certainly. They're sitting in 8th, right? I never count out Minnesota, but they got their issues. The trade has not worked out. The Karl-Anthony Towns trade, Julius Randle trade has not worked out. Houston, again, they're on a little bit of a swoon right now, but talented. The Clippers, the Lakers, Denver, the Grizzlies, Oklahoma City. Look, Oklahoma City's at the top of the Delta Pledge class, but there's a lot more that have a chance in the West than in the East, and this is every single year. All right, we'll take a timeout, come back, wrap up hour 2. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows, stay up to date with station events, and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director of Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 91271-5199.
Attention homeowners, it's time to score big with Choate's Air Conditioning, Heating, Plumbing, and Generators. For the first 50 callers who purchase a new carrier system, generator, or tankless water heater, Choose between 60 months of no interest financing or free air duct cleaning, a $500 value. Plus, don't miss our $39 February deals. Choose from a furnace tune-up, a sewer inspection, or an electrical panel inspection. It's the perfect way to prepare your home for the season. But hurry, this winning deal ends February 28th. Don't fumble this opportunity to claim these amazing offers. Call Choates today at 347-8086. And remember, Choates, let our family serve your family.
Jenkins Floors and More invites you to their retail warehouse where they pass wholesale savings on to you. Jenkins Floors in Little Rock, Cleveland, Mississippi, and now open in Horn Lake at 2356 West Quitman Road. Specializing in flooring and carpeting, tile, plantation shutters, and blinds, Jenkins makes your life easy with a 2-week turnaround. Contractors, builders, or family projects, call 662-469-9350 for a free estimate. Owners Timmy and Rebecca Jenkins say hello to Sports 56 fans and look forward to your business.
Now back to Sports 56 Mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by James Gaddis Jewelers. Diamonds are forever. Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Welcome back, everybody. 8:50 the time. This week, PGA Tour is going back to Torrey Pines for the Genesis Open, which would have been played in Los Angeles, but because of all the wildfires and everything like that, they had moved it. And obviously Tiger Woods, his involvement, but Tiger Woods announcing yesterday that unfortunately he's not going to be able to play in it because of the passing of his mother just a few days ago. So kind of a double whammy there with that tournament. Not only is it moved out of Los Angeles, it's at a beautiful course, Torrey Pines, don't get me wrong. They just played there on the tour a few weeks ago, but now you're minus Tiger Woods. Tiger doesn't get to play much anymore, but he will not be playing in this event, and understandably so.
Yeah, he's the host of the event. Obviously, his mom meant a lot to him, and he's dealing with that. But certainly, again, wish him the best.
Congratulations to our friend Pete Lembo, former Memphis Tigers assistant coach. He and the Buffalo Bulls have reached an agreement on a new contract which adds a year to his deal and gives him a raise. Buffalo went 9-4 this season and won the Bahamas Bowl. All right, so NFL, we were talking earlier about Aaron Rodgers and where he may end up. You know what's interesting? One of the teams in the top 5 on the gambling site, and again, I forget which one it was, of odds, best odds for Aaron Rodgers to land. What team? And I mentioned Pittsburgh was number 1. I think Las Vegas was 2. San Francisco was 3. Huh? They've already made it clear that Brock Purdy's their guy. They want to sign him to a new deal. In fact, Jed York confirmed that they're trying to sign him to a contract extension this offseason. I mean, he did not get paid much money, and it's understandable because where he was picked, Mr. Irrelevant. So he's going to make a lot of money, but to even think that would prevent San Francisco from trying to sign him long-term, he's been very successful in his tenure so far in the NFL with the 49ers. So I don't think that's happening. And then you have...
When it comes to player movement and stuff like that, just like when the Grizzlies were the favorites to get Jimmy Butler, don't go by the gambling sites. Like it's just.
Oh, I don't take it to heart.
They're just throwing stuff out there.
I know. I'm just doing it as a topic. But again, it's not a bad topic to talk about where Aaron Rodgers is going to land. Again, he may turn around and say that's it. But the fact that he flew back to New York to meet with Woody Johnson makes me think that he's interested in playing another season, at least one more in the NFL, that he doesn't want to leave on a sour note. And it's obviously been a sour 2-year run in New York with the injury and then with the team's performance.
The whole thing with Aaron Rodgers is a simple thing for any team. Is Aaron Rodgers at this point good enough to deal with all of the headaches and drama he brings. And if you could say yes, then you're okay. But I'm going to guess there'd be a lot of teams that would say no.
Aaron Rodgers, still coming off the Achilles, played most of the games, right? I think he may have missed a game.
Yeah, and they won very few.
No, I know. And he's a big part of the reason why they didn't. It was dysfunctional. But Aaron Rodgers, at his age, still put up pretty decent numbers. Now, this is not comparable to Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson and the elite, but he put up very good numbers that were better than some of these teams and their use of their quarterbacks when they got to their second guy or their third guy. But even some of the starters weren't great. We know by the middle of the season, and certainly by the end of an NFL season, we look around and go, that dude's an NFL quarterback? So Aaron Rodgers is certainly competent, but you're right. There's a circus that goes along with it. Who wants to jump into the three-ring circus with Aaron Rodgers? I mentioned earlier, Sam Darnold, I don't know what the Vikings are going to do, but there's no guarantee that J.J. McCarthy is going to be good. But it looks like that's the direction they may go in because that's their draft. That's their first-round pick from last year. And he didn't play because he was hurt, and Sam Darnold got the opportunity, and Sam Darnold seized the opportunity and then stunk in the postseason. But, again, according to reports out there, the Raiders will probably make a run at him. They're not excited with what they have right now in the fold. Assuming Stafford is back with the Rams and he doesn't retire, which I don't think he will, Garoppolo's the backup out there, right?
I believe so, yes.
Elijah? Yeah? I don't know why he wouldn't be an object of a team. I still think he's an NFL starter, and he's not ancient. I would look at maybe Garoppolo. Also, from the NFL, the Cowboys are set to hire Ken Dorsey. Speaking of quarterbacks, former quarterback in the NFL. They are going to sign him, according to a report, in a not yet announced role. He was the Bills' offensive coordinator.
Yeah, there's talk, I think, some sort of passing game, something or another. I don't know, but I'm not real excited about Ken Dorsey.
Why not?
Because he hasn't been very good.
Nor have the Cowboys. Maybe it works.
Because he's done not much.
Maybe it works.
I don't know if you saw Cleveland's offense this year. But
he was Cleveland. I thought it was Buffalo.
He got fired from Buffalo before, and then he was with Cleveland this year. They're terrible.
Oh, yeah, but come on. Look at the
got fired from Cleveland.
Look at the quarterback situation in Cleveland. Look what he had to work with. That was dysfunctional. All right. So coming up in hour number 3.
He got fired from Buffalo when he had Josh Allen to work with.
I know, but he's had he's had some success. That's why he ended up in Buffalo. Okay. Rick Pitino, we're going to do this to open up hour 3, had some interesting things to say about the Big East. And part of what he had to say, the University of Memphis came up. If you haven't heard, we're going to talk about that when we return. And then at about 9:25, more Grizzlies talk with Drew Hill from the Daily Memphian. You're tuned into Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Progressive's Name Your Price tool, you get coverage options based on how much you want to pay for car insurance. And then you decide how to spend the rest of your money, because you're in charge. Today, you're going to pay down your credit card bill. But you decide when you'll pay it. Before the due date, so those interest charges don't get you. But you decide if you pay it in full. But you definitely should, because again, interest charges. Progressive's Name Your Price tool will help you find coverage at a fair price. And you're in charge. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and switch to pay for state law. Guns, guns, and more guns. Over 700 firearms in stock. Home defense guns, guns, new guns, used guns, big guns, little guns. Every gun you can think of, classic arms, it is there.
This traffic report on Sports 56 is brought to you by Palo Windows and Doors of Memphis and the Mid-South Palo Windows. The standard is affordable luxury.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good morning. Clearing up a couple of wrecks we had out here a little bit earlier. There's still a little bit of volume coming down I-40 right now as we check it out live over here at Germantown Parkway on 40 going westbound all the way to Sycamore View Road. 385 still has a little bit of lingering traffic volume coming in from Collierville, making your way inbound on Bill Morris Parkway all the way up to 240. Hey, if your lawn needs a little bit of help this time of the year, don't worry. Call Lawn Solutions. With over 30 years experience, Lawn Solutions, that telephone number is 867-5626. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis with John Harden. Weekdays from 11 to 1. Now back to Sports 56 mornings on Sports 56.
Welcome back, everyone. 9 o'clock straight up. Hour 3 here on Sports 56 Mornings. Greg Gaston, Eli Savoy, Elijah Seegers with you, broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studios. Family Leisure, their preseason pool and patio sale continue. 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40. 45 degrees. It's going to stay around that temperature. 46 for a high, to be exact. But rain throughout the morning, throughout the early part of the afternoon, and then probably will dissipate a bit late afternoon, early evening. At least that's what they're saying right now. But the rain is going to be significant, about a half an inch of rain. And then cloudy skies tonight with a low of around 40. And then more rain again tomorrow with about an 87% chance of rain, a high of 48. Thursday, we'll see a little bit of the sun. The rain goes away, but the high temperature for Thursday will be only 38 degrees. I mean, just looking at this forecast, just a yo-yo of temperatures. 38 for a high, then 53, then 50, then 36, then 45, then 56. That's why everybody's getting sick, I think. Hour 3 of the program brought to you by Jenkins Floors and More. If you are looking to put down some new flooring, some new carpeting here in 2025, it makes sense to get your material from Jenkins Floors and More. It makes sense to go with Jenkins Floors and More to do the job. If you can't do that job yourself, call Jenkins. They'll do it in 2 weeks. That's their promise to you, a 2-week turnaround. They'll come to you wherever you are. All you have to do is call them or stop by and say you're looking for new carpeting. They'll come. They'll bring you samples. They'll give you a free estimate, and then they'll do the job, get it done in 2 weeks. What more can you ask for? They sell it wholesale. They skip the middleman, save you lots of money in the process for all you contractors and do-it-yourself homeowners. It makes sense to buy your material from Jenkins Floors and More. The SPC and WPC vinyls, the hardwoods by Portercraft, the carpeting from Southern Luxury Carpet, the ceramic and porcelain tiles, backsplashes for your kitchens and bathrooms, plantation shutters and blinds, and so much more. Go see them at 2356 Goodman Road in Horn Lake. They also have stores in Cleveland, Mississippi, and in Little Rock, Arkansas. You can call them at 662-469-9350. They're open Monday through Saturday. Financing is available. Sports 56 listeners, ask about your family discount. Military and first responders, you get 10% off. It's Jenkins Floors and More. Okay.
By the way, we were talking about the NBA. It looks like, and I don't know, I'm not sure if there's another step of the legal process goes through, but it does look like A-Rod and company have won the battle.
I saw that.
And will be the owners of the Minnesota Timberwolves finally. After this process started, I think it was 2021 that they first started the buying process.
With the Taylors, right?
And here we are in 2025.
Jeez.
And now I think they finally have won the battle and get to pay $1 billion or whatever to own the team.
You sure there's no more hurdles to jump over?
There might be. I don't know. I don't know if there's another legal thing that Taylor can do or not, but I don't believe so. I think this settles it, and whatever his complaint was, this arbitration panel ruled in favor of Rodriguez and Mark Lohr, and so they've won the right to pay $1 billion.
Good for them. And then it'll quickly be worth like $2 billion.
Actually, I think next to the vote from the other owners has to happen. They may not. I guess they could theoretically not get approved by the other owners. The sale could
That's
not
right.
get approved.
Right. Owners
but
vote.
that's I think the next thing that has to happen.
Rick Pitino, who has done an amazing job with St. John's, certainly a top-tier candidate for National Coach of the Year, has St. John's now ranked in the top 10, number 9 in the AP poll. He's been pretty vocal about a lot of things. He was vocal about John Calipari, who is, they're not exactly best friends, and he came out and basically said to the Kentucky fans, don't boo John Calipari. You know why? He didn't have a dog in that fight, but he obviously being a former coach there, but he comes out and he was adamant about that. He'll speak up about a lot of things. This thing is interesting. So he has recently spoke up about the Big East. He says, the Big East will miss the boat if it doesn't expand to a super basketball conference. Right now, it's a well-respected conference, but all the talk is about the SEC or the talk is about the Big Ten, and we know that it's an incredibly competitive conference, the Big East. But he said they will miss the boat. We will miss the boat if they don't expand to a super conference. How do you expand to a super conference? You add the likes of Dayton. These are just a few of the teams he named. Dayton and St. Louis from the A-10, Memphis from the American Conference. I don't have the numbers. I don't know if somebody can find the numbers of the Big East contract and what they pay out. Remember, this is a non-football playing conference. It's not a bad idea on the surface when you think about it. It's a very attractive league for a network or networks to purchase their product. And then when you take it from the other point of view with Memphis, who would love to get into a bigger conference for all their sports, is it crazy to think about the Big East becoming a superpower basketball conference? And I don't know if that's going to be good enough with just a few additions. But the point is, would it be a good move if Memphis was invited for basketball and play in a separate conference where you don't have to play in this dog pile American conference in basketball? Football, it's a pretty good conference. It's a competitive conference with some good teams. Basketball right now is an absolute joke. Would it be beneficial financially and then also from a standpoint where you don't have to go and win every damn game in your conference because you're going to be penalized if you don't? Thoughts?
Well, the whole thing would be what happens to your football program. Anything if you're trying to go join a basketball only league, the question becomes what happens to your football program.
Well, does Tim Pernetti throw out Memphis when Memphis is one of the best football programs in the conference, yet he has Army that doesn't play basketball, has Navy that doesn't play basketball? How about if you can keep football and all other sports in the American? I'm just spitfiring here. And Memphis basketball goes to the Big East.
If you could do that, then I think it probably makes sense. But again, I don't know whether the American Athletic Conference is going to would be willing to let somebody do that. I mean, I have no idea what their thought would be. Certainly, there is something for them to keep Memphis football in there, but as a bargaining chip, they may say no. Like we're not going to allow you to leave with basketball and continue your other sports here. I don't know how the conference would react to that type of a situation.
So I don't know if this
because obviously if Memphis basketball were to leave, the basketball conference takes a big hit.
Oh,
no
question.
They can use the football as the bargaining chip of no, we're not just not going to let you do that. You're either here or you're not.
But right now, it's Snow White and how many teams are in the league? 11 dwarfs. Memphis should be getting the bulk of the money. They should be getting the bulk of it. The Big East, now, if this is accurate, this is what came up when I Googled it. The Big East currently has 2 broadcast partners in Fox and CBS, with the 12-year deal coming to an end in 2025. It is reportedly worth around $42 million per year. Right now they have 10 teams. Obviously, you add some teams, it's a little bit less of a slice. But if your revenue goes up, obviously that is beneficial, and it may not. You may do better than just breaking even, depending on what type of money you can get from your broadcast partners. But does the addition of these teams give it more strength? I would say yes. In Memphis, it does. Memphis is a basketball tradition. It is a power from the middle, what do we call it? The mid-major. People don't like to hear that term, but that's basically what it is. You're able to bring them in there. Now, you're not going to be able to strike a deal with, I don't think, with Gonzaga, St. Mary's. Gonzaga already has moved into, what, the Mountain West? From the WCC?
Yeah.
I think so, right?
I think they're going Mountain West.
And I don't know about St. Mary's, but, they're on the west. It's so tough. I know geography's out the door anymore, out the window, but all those teams are pretty much East Coast, Midwest. Nobody's out west. But there's others around the country that you could possibly add. But right now, you look at the teams that are there. It's a powerful conference. How can you make it more powerful? Memphis certainly helps. Memphis helps. So look, this isn't me coming up with some cockamamie idea. This is Rick Pitino talking about that possibility, saying they will miss the boat if it doesn't expand. So again, I don't know. Tim Pernetti could easily look at it and go, you leave for basketball, you're gone. And that's a problem. Or he could say, well, you're still very meaningful to us in football and in other sports, not to mention the Olympic sports, and really they're not revenue makers. But basketball, we would lose out. You would be moving on to the Big East. I don't know. From a Memphis standpoint, I think it would make a lot of sense.
I don't really understand what Pitino is talking about, quite honestly. I don't miss the boat on what? What is you are what you are. You're a basketball playing conference. There's not these astronomical dollars in college basketball television contracts.
He must think there is. That's the only reason I could think of why he would say this.
I don't know what boat they're missing. What this boat is that they would get by expanding with these other basketball programs. I get it. Certainly he knows more about it than I do, but I don't see how them expanding is some gigantic lucrative thing. I mean, college basketball, other than the NCAA tournament, doesn't do great on television.
Yeah, no, your point is well taken. Again, this isn't me coming up with a scenario here. This is Pitino. And how much does the addition of 3 or 4, well, it wouldn't be 3, it would be 2 or 4, more than likely, maybe 6. I don't know what's even available. How attractive is that to a new contract for TV and other media broadcast partners? I don't know. I think right now it's really good with their 10 teams. Will the additions make them even more attractive if that were to happen? Maybe. He obviously thinks so. I'm just thinking the big picture. What would happen when you actually have teams in the American that don't play all the sports? Wichita State doesn't play football, but they're in there for basketball and baseball and other sports. Army and Navy play football. That's it. They play in what? The Patriot League? In the other sports?
Yeah, but I mean, for the American, like those other sports, like at Army and Navy, would bring nothing whatsoever to it. So when they were looking to add those, there was no reason to even think about adding anything other than the football.
No, I understand, but I'm just saying there's precedent set in this conference that there are schools that don't play one of the two big sports. And with Memphis, it'd be like, okay, we'll do it for Army and Navy and Wichita State. We're not going to do it for you. But then again, I can understand the plight of Tim Pernetti if something like this were to even materialize, because that's a huge hit. In fact, when you think about it, the biggest brand in this conference of any sport from any school is Memphis basketball. Right? What are we going to say? Tulane football? Army football? I mean, it's Memphis basketball. It's history. It's tradition. Now, football, again, brings in more money than basketball. I understand that.
I would get, just because of mainly the difference, I would guess that a lot of people would say either Army or Navy football.
Oh, no.
Because they have a game that is theirs on a weekend.
That doesn't count in the American Conference.
But brand, like there is no, like it's the U.S. Army, the U.S. Navy. They have their own standalone game. I mean, Tiger basketball has done nothing over the last how many years?
If Army, Navy, and that game itself was an American Conference game, and that revenue, some of it went to the conference, then I would say yes. I would say you're probably right. But right now,
this has nothing to do with the conference. You're talking about biggest brand.
With importance to the conference, with meaning to the conference. Memphis basketball, and again, look, last year, and I know recent years haven't been great. Last year was a disaster what happened in conference play. But when Memphis is doing what Memphis usually does over the years, and it's more pockets than it is consistent, but the pockets have been huge. When you look at what they did, in the 70s and going to a championship game, in the 80s, there's been pockets of greatness. That's why they're considered a top.
But they haven't
30
had any of those
basketball.
pockets in the American Athletic Conference.
That's an issue. But they're considered a top 30 men's basketball program in the country. So the brand is the biggest in the conference. And if you're Pernetti, you would lose that. That's a big loss. And that's one of those deals where you might be like, I'm putting my foot down. If they go, then all your sports is going. And that would be a problem. That would be an issue. But if you were able to retain your membership in the conference for football and all these other sports, and basketball was to go to some elevated Big East with pretty good dollars, you're playing the competition that you need to play in conference to get you ready for the tournament, I think that's a win-win. But that's probably not going to happen.
Yeah, I don't think that would be possible. If it was possible, yeah, I mean, certainly that would be better than what they have now. But I don't see. Again, the conference is going to use it as it's a bargaining chip. It's either you're doing this or you're not.
No, I understand.
We're not going to allow you to just kind of do a pick what you want and where you want each sport to be.
Exactly.
We're going to welcome in whatever your leftovers are.
But it is an interesting debate if something were to materialize like that, in my opinion.
And again, I don't know. Certainly the Big East, competition-wise, be better, and obviously just the basketball portion of it, money-wise, would be way better. Again, I don't know for sure exactly what Pitino means by missing the boat. If they don't do that, because I don't know what more the Big East really can be than what it is right now.
Mm-hmm.
But again, he's obviously much more involved in it than I am. The other thing about Pitino's thing, I mean, again, I guess, is all of that stuff, he'll be gone by the time that happens anyway.
Maybe. He may be one of those coaches that coaches all the way up till he dies. And Pitino probably will live till he's 100.
Yeah, but if he continues to coach, he'll probably do it elsewhere at a better school.
Maybe, but you know what? He's a Northeast guy. It's New York City. It's St. John's. If he can have the success coaching in that league, what's it matter that he goes to the SEC or the Big Ten? Now, if you're talking about tripling his salary, which you probably are, or something crazy, that might be a little bit different. So, yeah, there's no guarantees.
Elwood Shack, 2 locations to serve you great food. And, man, the selection is absolutely out of this world, whether it be lunch, dinner, or breakfast. That's right. They do serve breakfast at both Elwood Shack locations, 7 a.m. until 10:30, Monday through Saturday. They've got Saturday and Sunday. They got an additional brunch menu that they serve as well. Sundays, they open up at 8, so an hour later than they do Monday through Saturday. 4523 Summer Avenue, that's the original Elwood Shack. That's in the Lowe's parking lot there at Summer and Perkins. 4040 Park Avenue, that's the newer location. Over at that location, they've got the full coffee bar as well to go with that great breakfast, but also, of course, all of the other great items from that menu that have been a staple since Elwood Shack opens, from some of their great barbecue to their burgers, the tacos, the pizza, the great deli sandwiches that they got with deli meats that they make in-house over there at Elwood Shack. Just absolutely great food. The biggest decision every time is just trying to figure out which one am I going to choose, because there's so many different great items on the menu at Elwood Shack, whether it be for breakfast, whether it be for lunch, whether it be for dinner. There's always something good at Elwood Shack. They also use a lot of local products in their food as well at Elwood Shack, from their breads to their desserts to the coffee beans. We're very much a local company when it comes to that. Great food for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You'll find it all at Elwood Shack. You can go online at elwoodshack.com. Again, open for breakfast Monday through Saturday at 7 a.m. Sunday, they open up at 8, and during the weekend, they got that special brunch menu as well at Elwood's Shack.
Drew Hill from the Daily Memphian is next to talk some Grizzlies. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
We are Real Sports Talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Sports 56 and 95 FM.
From the first legal distillery in Texas, Tito's is 6 times distilled till it's just right and naturally gluten-free, making it a high-quality spirit that mixes with just about everything. From the smoothest martinis to the best Bloody Marys, beyond the bottle, Tito's has gained a reputation for giving back, teaming up with nonprofits around the world to serve its community and do good for dogs. Make your next cocktail with Tito's and learn more at Tito'sVodka.com. 40% alcohol by volume, mainly 80 proof, crafted to be savored responsibly.
Hey fellas, Bill Russell here at Russell Brothers Fine Jewelers. You know it's February, and that's the month to show your love. The question is, how are you going to let your most special lady know how much you care about her? It doesn't matter if your favorite girl has been your wife for 47 years, or if you're just getting started with a relationship that you hope has real possibilities. Since 1985, Memphis gentlemen have been coming to Russell Brothers Jewelers to pick out that perfect gift for their sweethearts. Young men and older fellas alike. A ring, a bracelet, earrings, or a pendant. Jewelry is always the best choice for her. Much better than candy that will be eaten in 3 days or flowers that will be tossed out in a week. Come see us at Russell Brothers Fine Jewelers. Let us gift wrap a present that will keep her smiling for a long time, and a present that tells her you care enough to give her the very best. Russell Brothers Fine Jewelers, 4646 Poplar in Perkins.
I'm so excited.
I had a feeling you'd be excited.
That doesn't even begin to describe how I feel about the new Central Barbecue location on Central.
Well, technically, it's the same location.
Same location, but a very different Central Barbecue on Central.
I get what you're saying, but I don't want to confuse people. The new Central Barbecue location on Central is the same place as the old Central Barbecue on Central.
But it's so much more. It's big, for one thing.
It is a whole lot bigger. Well, I think it has to be.
Because everybody in Memphis is going to be flocking to the new Central Barbecue location on Central.
Where the old Central Barbecue on Central used to be.
Details.
Listen each and every Sunday morning at 11 to join Ottawa Presbyterian Church for worship. Ottawa is a PCUSA church in Memphis.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises. Just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it. Because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
Sports 56 mornings on Sports 56. This hour brought to you by James Floors and once again by Greg
Welcome back. 9:25 the time. Grizzlies at the Suns tonight, 9 o'clock TNT. Tomorrow night they'll be in L.A. to take on the Clippers. And then All-Star Weekend. And, of course, you know Drew Hill's going to be busy covering all things Grizzlies. The Grizzlies beat writer for the Daily Memphian. You can follow Drew on Twitter at DrewHill_DM. He joins us now on Sports 56 Mornings. So, Drew, I assume you'll be out there in San Francisco for the All-Star game?
Yep, I'll be out there in San Francisco. I'm actually headed... You know, this is the way that flights work. I'm headed to L.A. Before for the game against the Clippers. It was cheaper to fly to L.A. and then up to San Francisco than it was to fly just direct to San Francisco. Which doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but so I tacked on an extra day, and I'll get to check out the Intuit Dome, which I'm pretty fired up about.
Well, it's going to be a lot of fun. We'll talk about that in a second. Obviously, Triple J, you have Jalen Wells involved, you have Zach Edey as well. You have, you find some incredible stories. You got to be following Drew at the Daily Memphian and get a subscription to the DM to read these stories. But I want to go back and talk, before we talk about this great story about Kennard and Rooker and their friendship, which I had no idea about. The Triple J story that you put together, just globetrotting around the world, his fashion. I knew he was into fashion. I didn't know he was into fashion that much, but tell us about the story, how the evolution of that story, and just what you got out of it.
Yeah, so earlier this season, I've covered the team for 6 years now. So
it's amazing.
When you do that, you build relationships, right? And last year, I did a piece on Jaren Jackson's upbringing, right? I interviewed his parents. I spent some time in San Antonio with his dad, whatever. And so this year, Jaren was like, look, you've put a lot of time into covering my stuff off the court. I'm doing this summer vlog series. I've gotten super into videography. Like, I'm not only like directing it and helping to shoot it and helping to, figure out the visuals, but like I've actually studied this. Like I've watched certain things, and I've hired a bunch of people to help teach me how to do it and all of this. And I want to write about it. I want somebody to write about it. And so I think you'd be great. And I was like, oh, sign me up, man. You're Jaren, right? Like, of course. Of course I'll do it. Like, let's do it. So it started with me meeting up with Jaren at a dinner, which is where the series starts in Dallas. And he's just, it's where I was trying to be careful was like, you don't want it to come across as like him bragging about all the stuff he did over the summer, because that's not what it was at all. Like, it was him being so excited to share how they captured certain things that they did do, and sort of how filming his life and trying to learn something about how, films are made and videography and all that has sort of pushed him to do new experiences. So whether it's catching snakes in the Everglades or going to a bare knuckle fight or, traveling to Japan and what a cultural difference, how culturally different they are from the United States and how he sort of felt seen there. And, Fashion Week in Europe and impromptu trips to Colorado at the drop of a hat, like all that stuff, like all of it. And I tried my best to capture absolutely all of it. And it was just it was a joy to write. It was fun. It's obviously a super long series, so once you get into it, it's going to take you a while. But it was well worth it in the end, for sure.
With all of the things he did, obviously he's still extremely young, but what does he want to do after his playing days are done?
Eli, this is a fantastic question, and there's been something I've been waiting to put out there. And I sort of teetered back and forth on whether or not I wanted to make a big deal of it or not. But I think in the end, when basketball's over for him, he wants to be someone else's creative director, and he wants to dress people and create brands for them and sort of do all that. It's been speculated a lot. Hey, he'd be great on TNT, right? When his career was over. I don't think that's what Jaren aspires to do, if we're being honest. From some of the conversations I had with him, and I was maybe intending to eventually put that out there, but it's just the way that he sort of described it is like those guys have great jobs, and like he's talking about Kenny and Chuck and all them. He's like those guys have great jobs, and every time I'm in there, they all say you could be us one day, like you could totally be sitting here, and I think we can all see it, right? It's pretty obvious that he would be a good entertainer like that. But, the minute that those cameras go off, I don't think it's quite as fun, And that's sort of what Jaren pointed out. And so, Jaren wants to do what he wants to do. And, one of the big lessons that he learned from the summer full of, really pushing himself to do different stuff was that he won't apologize for spending his money on things like that. Sure, opportunities to learn, opportunities to experience different culture. In the NBA, I mean, we see what guys wear into the arena, and sometimes it's about the material items, right? Like driving in the vintage car, like whatever it might be. For Jaren, he wants to be a storyteller, and he basically has decided he's unapologetically going to be a storyteller and tell his own story. And if that's the way he spends his money, so that he can hire the smartest people to teach him things,
And that's the way it should be. And nothing wrong with jet setting to Paris or to Milan or to New York. So that's great. I mean, it's amazing. But that was a terrific series. And then you just wrote about Luke Kennard and Brent Rooker, friend of the show. I have an easier time getting Brent Rooker on the show than I do, God forbid, a Grizzly that we cover. But you obviously are privy to be able to have these type of interviews with the Grizzlies players, including Luke Kennard, and then you find out about this relationship with Rooker. How did you find out? Because I know Rooker goes to some of these games before baseball season starts, and how did you know they had a relationship?
To be honest, I've known it for a while. How do I appropriately put this? I just think that some of the folks that Luke Kennard hangs out, I have a couple mutual friends.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Anyway, I knew that they were acquaintances, right? And Brent obviously went to ECS, and my boss, our wonderful editor over at the Daily Memphian, has been very involved with ECS, and they coach. He's a part-time coach of ECS cross country, David Boyd. Yeah. Yep. So shout out to David. Shout out to ECS. And so Brent, Brent is. They've known Brent for a long time, and he's obviously one of the most laid-back guys that there is. I mean, and so I saw him at the game, and I just walked up to him, and he had the Luke Kennard jersey in hand because they had just done a jersey swap, and I was like, Brent, can I talk to you for a few minutes? I just want to ask you about you and Luke becoming buddies, and he was great. He talked about it for a while, and I think the most fun piece in there was he said, what was it? He said Luke Kennard's jersey that he signed for him before the game is going to go between Bryce Harper and Bobby Witt Jr. I was like, man, that is some good company.
Good company.
Luke. Like that is, and Luke of course is he grew up in Franklin, Ohio. He's a Reds fan, and so he joked when I talked to him about trying to get Brent to sign with the Reds this offseason. He said, hey, like, you're a free agent, you might as well check out Cincinnati, but obviously that did not happen, and he was very happy for Brent that he got such a big deal with the A's.
So the Grizzlies, with the All-Star break coming up, the game on Saturday seemed to be a big eye-opener, I think, for a lot of people to see Oklahoma City come in here. Grizzlies fully healthy. Oklahoma City's missing a couple of starters, 3 rotation guys, and they come in and dominate the Grizzlies on their home court. How alarming do you believe that one regular season game should be for Grizzlies fans?
I think that there's 2 ways of looking at it. Okay, the first way of looking at it is that it shouldn't be too alarming because in the totality of a basketball season, if you're always only looking for the way to find the Grizzlies' path to winning the championship over a month, and you don't stop and just enjoy what we've had so far, and you look at the season and you just say, yeah, they've been great, and it's been really fun, and they've played a lot of great games, and Jaren's an all-star, and he's made a big leap, but they can't beat the Thunder. Then that's kind of a miserable way of living, Like, I do sort of think that. Like, I'm not telling fans how to fan. I'm just saying that wouldn't be my choice. That being said, if that's the way you're choosing to look at it, like, clearly there is a gap here, right? Like, the Thunder, there's a gap in the standings, and there's a gap in what we saw on the court. The Thunder are just that good. I can tell you, I sit next to Brevin, and, halftime came, and, Brevin sometimes, he wants the Grizzlies to do as well as anyone, and like, sometimes he can be frustrated if they're not playing well, but his first reaction was, dang, OKC is just really good. And I think that was sort of everybody's reaction, was like, ooh, man, that's tough. Like, if they're going to shoot the ball like that and they're that aggressive, like they're just going to be difficult for anybody to beat. And so, I think it goes both ways here. Like, yes, it's alarming that they lost and they pretty much were dominated in every facet of the game. Mm-hmm. But let's not allow one loss to the best team in the league, the team with the best record, to really, change more of how we feel about this season. The Grizzlies could still get to the Western Conference Finals. Like, is there any other team other than OKC? I mean, there's teams that you wouldn't feel great about, but there's nobody you would say that the Grizzlies have no chance against, in the West. I mean, OKC is really the only one that seems to be that far of a class in front. So, you can fan how you want to fan. If that's what you want to be concerned about, go ahead. And if you're thinking championship or bust, then yeah, I'd be worried after a performance like that. But I still think it's a good season for the team overall.
It makes it more important to stay at either 2 or 3, so you can be opposite of Oklahoma City in the bracket.
Yeah, let somebody else do the work for you, right? We were talking about
exactly. The first thing you said makes an awful lot of sense. We don't always think that way, but it brings up the great poet laureate Ferris Bueller, who once said, "Life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it." In other words, enjoy when things are good, and don't worry about the end result. But here on talk radio, as you know, especially sports talk, we always look at the end result. And I've talked a lot about leading up to the deadline with management, the trade deadline, is you have to look at your team, and you don't have to make it public, but you have to look at the team and go, are we better than that other team? Are we better than that team? And if the answer is yes, we're better than them, you stand pat. You don't do anything. But obviously, Memphis, at least to our eyes and most people's eyes, they're not better than Oklahoma City, may not be better than a couple of teams also in the West. But they tried to look around and possibly do something. It never materialized. So I know that the effort was there. It takes two to tango. And I also like the fact that Zach Kleiman stood up there in front of you guys and said, it didn't work with Marcus Smart. All right, well, I'll take the blame on that one. We tried. It didn't work. And then again, you're never going to hit a home run if you don't step up to the plate and swing. So I appreciate what he said. And I do understand that it takes two to tango. But they were trying to do something. So I give it a good grade for effort. It just never happened. It's just that people look at it and go, all right, Marcus Smart, man, you wasted 3 picks on that, 2 to get him, 1 to get rid of him, and that's what we got out of the deadline. So I can understand the frustration of people, Drew.
Yeah, no, I get it. It was a surrender trade, right? It was a white flag trade.
Yes.
That's what it was. It was an opportunity, and nobody likes that. Nobody likes that. But I do think that Zach Kleiman did a good job of explaining why.
He did.
He went further in his answers than I think any of us in the media expected he would go. Because the truth there behind that deal was they wouldn't have traded Marcus Smart if they didn't think that their other players were better than Marcus Smart.
Yeah.
That's just the truth. They think Jalen Wells and Vince Williams Jr. at this point in their career are better than Marcus Smart, is better than what Marcus Smart would have been able to give them in the playoffs. And whether you want to argue that's true or not, fine, but that's what the Grizzlies believed. So that's why they would do a deal like this. And that's just the truth. And, there's other elements in play here, too. Did we always feel like Marcus Smart was ever going to be able to make Memphis his home after the way that ended in Boston? I don't think anybody really could blame him for leaving his heart in a place where he played 10 years.
Sure.
He went to the playoffs every year, and he was so beloved. And so, I think maybe it was a little bit ambitious to think that he was going to be he came in at a time when they were looking for veteran leadership like that because they had, some problems in the locker room and whatnot. And, they just wanted somebody that would be a connector in that way. And, maybe Marcus did do that some. Maybe he did, and I think they did give him some credit for that. But as Kleiman put it, it's Ja, Jaren, and Dez's team now. They don't need Marcus Smart as a leader, in his opinion. So that's why they're willing to do it. And so if you don't think he's going to be the emotional leader of the team, because you already got your 3 emotional leaders of the team, and you don't think he's as good as the other guys, and he didn't flat out say we don't think Marcus is as good as the other guys. He said we wanted to give opportunities to guys that we believe in.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't expect that that's what was going to come out, Zach Kleiman's mouth when he was talking about, this deal. I thought he was going to be super complimentary to Marcus, and he was, by the way. And this was something that they would dance around. He didn't dance around it.
No.
I give him a lot of credit. He came out and said, these are the guys we believe in. Yeah, they're not the veterans. We're playing them. And so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, he was a straight shooter, at least in this instance, no question about it. You just talked about the emotion and the emotional leaders and those guys. Then there's the emotions from a guy named T. Morant. Okay, I was on radio at a Kansas City station yesterday, and they asked me about that. I really didn't know how to answer that because they were asking me about whether or not the organization, do they step in and talk to him? Do they talk to Ja about his father? I don't know if he's ever been kicked out before, but I know he's gotten emotional and has said some things against officials. How do we look at that?
Obviously that was not a scene that you want to see. It's fascinating though. I'm just going to tell you objectively right here, no opinion put in this at all. There is a history between Ja and one of the officials on the court on Saturday night, and that would be Ray Acosta. Mm-hmm. And 3 years ago, Ja was ejected from a game against the Thunder when it appeared he was talking to a fan, but evidently he was saying something that questioned the integrity of the officials, and they threw him out. This was the same deal, right? Same exact thing with T. Overtly disrespectful comments that question the integrity of the official. So same reason that he was thrown out of the game, and, same referee on the court. So there's a history here. Like, it's clear that they're trying to, they don't want the integrity of the officials being questioned whatsoever. And so I think that you have to take that into account. And then the other part of this too is just like, I want to know if they warned him. Like, because almost 99% of fans will get a warning, right? Like, they'll give you, they have these little cards that they hand you and they say, hey, conduct, like, whatever, you need to watch it, and they hand you the card. And so I didn't see that happen with T, so I would not be surprised at all, educated guess, that, should T, moving forward, like, that it'll be brought up to the league that they did not issue a warning prior to that happening. So, we will see what happens with this. Obviously, it's not something you want happen. You don't want T. Morant to be a distraction from the team at all. And I'm not saying that he is. I think the players actually kind of feed off the energy down there.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're getting kicked out, that's, I think, when it crosses the line.
No question about it. He's Drew Hill, Grizzlies beat writer for the Daily Memphian. Follow him on Twitter at DrewHill_DM. Safe travels out west. Enjoy your time. We'll talk to you soon.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you, Drew.
And it should be noted, I guess, that the official of Ray Acosta, the one that he talked about, the history, he is not the official that went and had T removed.
Okay.
It was the other, because it's the head. I think the head official has to know whether it had anything to do with whatever, but it was, I don't remember who the head official was that night, but it was not Acosta who went and told them to have T ejected.
But was it something that Acosta did the other night, or was this a holdover from a couple of years ago? They're elephants. The Morants are elephants. They don't forget. Like, it was in their mind. Like, or did Acosta do something again blatantly against Ja?
Well, I think they were Ja.
Other than just regular calls of fouls.
Frustrated because, again, Oklahoma City was ultra physical with him, and he wasn't getting calls, and so I think there was just frustration overall with the fact that they thought they were being too physical, and the officials were letting them get away with it.
Yeah, I guess the question is, if it was another crew that did not include Acosta, would he have gone off on them as much as he did that crew?
That I don't know.
Yeah. Hypothetical, but yeah.
Who knows? But again, I think just the way Oklahoma City was playing him got him frustrated, which then gets his dad frustrated as well. And they didn't like the fact that they were beating the crap out of John. He wasn't getting the calls that he wanted to get.
Yeah, again, as a father, I understand that.
Folks, if you've got a move coming up, get the professionals. Talk to the professionals from Black Tie Moving. Don't try and do it all yourself. Don't ask your lazy friends to do it for you. Get the professionals. Make sure that your belongings get where they're going without any problems, that the whole process goes as smooth as it can possibly go. And with Black Tie Moving, you can be assured of that. Give them a call at 901-316-6196 or go to the website blacktiemoving.com/Memphis. Talk to the folks at Black Tie. They'll work with you to come up with a plan for your move. Working with you to make sure it fits your needs, number one, it fits your budget as well, and they will give you a no-obligation quote up front. Again, 901-316-6196. Give them a call at Black Tie Moving.
One segment to go. We'll get to it when we return. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
It's not spring yet, but it's close, and right now, it's the perfect time to start thinking and planning for your backyard entertainment. Just so happens Family Leisure is thinking that way too, with their preseason pool and patio sale. Get 2024 pricing on all above-ground pools and patio furniture. Also, secure your spot start making plans. Lots of new inventory is en route, so in-stock patio furniture is up to 70% off. You want a play gym, a trampoline, how about an outdoor kitchen to go along with that new pool? They're all on sale too. You can get spas up to $3,000 off and save even more by mentioning this ad. You do that, you'll get a $250 gift card with a pool, spa, or patio furniture purchase. Winter won't last forever. Spring will be here soon, so get ready with the preseason pool and patio sale at Family Leisure, Rick Road off I-40, where family and fun all come together. Now back to Sports 56 mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by James Fuller School. Here once again, our great guest and Eliza
Here's the one other thing, too, on the whole. Right. I would assume the NBA, just like probably every other league in anywhere right now, but in basketball and in the NBA, they had the Terry Rozier situation where they're investigating that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
With the proliferation of gambling and the fact that the NBA also had the Jonte Porter thing, they are probably very sensitive to any comments whatsoever questioning the integrity of anything.
Sure.
So if you start saying stuff about obviously we know the Tim Donaghy situation years ago, but I'm sure there is a very much a sensitivity towards any sort of questioning that it's not on the up and up.
Well, again, with the Super Bowl on the first series, the A.J. Brown offensive pass interference call, people quickly went to their phones and tweeted out or wherever they wanted, whatever they used, that blue, what is it called? The other one, Blue Sky? Or anyway, they went to social media. And it was, all right, the conspiracy, it's happening right in front of us, and that's the last thing the NFL wants. But they thought it was offensive interference on A.J. Brown on a push-off, and that killed that first drive. Things like that happen. But obviously, it evened out, and there was calls certainly against Kansas City. To think that there's a conspiracy of officials that are throwing games every time Kansas City plays in their face, I mean, it's ludicrous. But people sometimes, with their thinking, it's not rational, and it gets a little crazy. So, yes, anything with basketball now, especially when you have, like you mentioned, Rozier, college basketball, Temple, and some other teams now involved in possible improprieties or irregularities or something with the gambling that goes with that, with those teams. There's a lot. Now, here's the other thing. When a regular fan is ejected from a game, a fan is ejected from a game, a spectator, what happens? They're thrown out. Are they entitled to come back to the next game? Does anything happen from an ejection?
If it's that type of ejection, I don't think
just a regular ejection, you're fine to come back.
If you went on the court or something like that's a completely different thing. But if you're just ejected for something you said, like for instance, the Mavericks fans that last night were ejected for the fire Nico signs, all that stuff, I assume they're fine to come back to the next game.
Yeah, but there are some that have said things and they took away their season.
Well, if it's racial, like they've had people say racial.
Right. Okay. But just something like that, it wouldn't, okay.
Saying something to the officials, I don't think they're going to ban you for any time.
All right. SEC tonight, busy slate, including the number one team, Auburn, coming off the loss to Florida at home, will play at Vanderbilt. And again, we've talked about it. The Commodores, who are 17-6, look like an NCAA tournament team. They got big wins. They got wins over Tennessee. They got wins over, win over Kentucky. But they do most of their damage at home. If they can knock off Auburn, I mean, that pretty much seals their fate. They're going to the NCAA tournament. But for Auburn, which is getting ready for the big one that they will play Saturday in Tuscaloosa against Alabama, 1-2, they would hate to walk into that game riding a 2-game losing streak. So very important game for both teams tonight in Nashville. Auburn, Vanderbilt. Auburn is an 8.5-point favorite.
If Vanderbilt were to win, probably have to write another big check.
Another check. There'll be some court storming, no question. Florida at Mississippi State tonight. Florida number 3 now in the nation. Mississippi State number 22. Mississippi State also at 17-6. And Mississippi State solidly in the field, but this would be one you want to win. I know it's a number 3 team, but you got them at home. So that'll be Tennessee and Kentucky. Tennessee number 5, Kentucky number 15. That's at Rupp. Kentucky also with a situation where they're in, but you don't want to lose too many here down the stretch. They're 16-7. So they're up to 7 losses. Tennessee comes in at 20-4 and just clobbered Oklahoma the other day. And then you have number 2 Alabama on the road in Austin against Texas. Texas is in trouble as far as the tournament is concerned. They're down to 15-9. Alabama 4.5-point road favorite. Georgia at number 8 Texas A&M, where Texas A&M is an 8.5-point favorite over Georgia. Georgia 16-8 right now. Are they penciled in or out? Certainly a bubble team.
Georgia's right there squarely on the bubble.
A&M at 18-5. So really good action tonight in the SEC.
Yeah, which is any night there's SEC basketball, there's going to be big games.
That's true.
I think either Alabama or Auburn loses tonight.
I think there's a good chance. No question about it. Again, Vanderbilt, the way they play at home. Ole Miss tomorrow will be in action at South Carolina. The Rebels coming off that last-second win at LSU. They're 19th ranked this week. They're 18-6. Oklahoma at Mizzou. Oklahoma 16-7. Missouri 17-6. And then LSU at 12-11. Arkansas at 14-9. The Hogs host. And the Hogs have to win a lot of games here because right now they are maybe bubble, maybe outside. I would think that with a couple of the big wins that they've had recently, probably put some square on the bubble. But again, 14-9. What team in the SEC will have the most losses that gets in to the NCAA tournament? And how many losses will they have? That'll be interesting to see how deep they go.
Well, and also tonight in the Big Ten, Purdue, Michigan. Massive game in the Big Ten. So it's a good night of college basketball around.
And doesn't UConn and Creighton?
UConn and Creighton is tonight as well. So it's a big night
and
in college
UConn
basketball.
Finally out of the top 25. That's going to do it for us today. I want to thank you for listening, folks. Thanks to our guests, Connor O'Gara from Saturday Down South, Jermaine Johnson from the University of Memphis men's basketball coaching staff, and Drew Hill from the Daily Memphian. Tomorrow, it's going to be a busy day. Dane Bradshaw is going to join us at 7:25, the former Tennessee Vol, White Station Spartan stud, who's an analyst on ESPN. He is doing the game at Mississippi State tonight, but he's also going to be the analyst on the Memphis game Thursday at South Florida. So we'll talk to him tomorrow at 7:25. Jerry Palm at 8:25 with his latest bracketology. To Michael Cole on the Grizzlies at 9:05. And then more Memphis Tigers talk with Parth Upadhyay at 9:25. Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 is coming up next. For Eli Savoy and for Elijah Seegers, I'm Greg Gaston. Have a great day, everybody.